Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be finishing off the narration and character voicing for the Siracusano side story in Arknights. And as is usual with the last parts of narrations here on the channel, a couple of things will be included, obviously, including battle stages and some other stuff. But before all of that, for anybody who is new to this channel and the narrations and is bumping into it through this very episode, as always, the playlist is in the description of the video if you want to start from the very beginning. Plus, if you want to go even further back, the Code of Brawl side story narration is at the very top of the links in the description. That is the story where this originates in, followed by To Be Continued, out of which you only need part 2, which contains Wolf and Wolfpack, a short story that just bridges the gap between Code of Brawl and Il Siracusano. Outside of that, Code of Brawl is also very important for the side story guide ahead, considering it also branches up into that one. So if you do want to have a refresher or listen in for the first time to that story, like I said, in the description of the video. Outside of that, considering this is gonna be the final episode for the story, not the final episode for the playlist itself, there will be one more episode, which is a bonus episode of sorts. Like I said in previous parts, we will go over the Critica section that is here in the bottom right. Go over all of those. They are funny if you haven't read them yet. That's a treat. Outside of that, that episode will also contain pretty much the majority of the fluff that exists across the map of Volsini, plus some other stuff. But coming back to today's final episode, considering this is gonna be a very long episode, I would take, I haven't actually measured the time when I went over this in preparation, but we'll see how long it's gonna be. No recap here at the beginning, even though the only thing you can literally recap from the last section was that Sora and Croissant met with a certain Sancta in the city. Plus, we had Lavinia be a babysitter for a while. Rubio, well, he exposed a lot of stuff to the entirety of Volsini and consequentially took his own life live on radio to everybody listening, including his very own daughter. Yikes. But still, that was one hell of a ballsy move from that little guy. And stuff is moving. Stuff is moving very fast now, so stuff will be happening in today's part. And oh boy, will I have fun with some parts. But outside of that, we will obviously go over story, battle stages that are included, like always in these narrations, followed by, obviously, all of the rest of the solo parts that have not been featured yet, that only unlock through beating the final couple of stages of the story. And finally, after we are done with the story, there is one extra epilogue, like almost always with these side stories, and that is coming from our dear operator Vigil. His operator record is essentially, once again, a epilogue to this entire story that will be included in today's narration, when we are completely done, obviously. Plus, the operator record will go up on the channel as normal, so you can view it by yourself if you want to, but that will be probably a couple of hours after this episode goes live. But anyway, that is that. Today's final episode, will also not end on a usual EP that I like to include at the final part, but I will link the EPs in the, again, description of the video if you want to go and listen to them yourself. I would highly recommend it, especially once we are done with the story. They always make an effort to incorporate the EP, both music and feel and text with the story itself, so it will hit better once you know the complete story. But anyway, let us begin, shall we? So, for our final part here today, we shall start off here at the church. This battle stage will be included into today's narration because of one certain thing, and you will see very soon what, or rather you might not see very soon what, because it isn't very much brought up during the cutscenes. But let's read first. So, titled Lies of Civilization. Lock and load. The gun can be an instrument of order or destroy the facade of civilization. And the text for the church says, devout worshippers by day, ruthless cutthroats who fight over their slice of the pie by night. On the surface, they appear plenty civilized. So, let's go into our part here. Before. Leontuzzo forgot what happened that day. He was still too young at the time. He knows only two things for certain. That day was not the day his mother died. That day was the only time he ever saw his father look somewhat lost. He walked through the rainy streets and saw his father sitting outside the church without an umbrella. He tried to run over to hold up his umbrella for his father, but slipped and fell. His father picked him up. The rain was heavier than usual that day. He could not clearly see his father's expression, but was still actually aware of his father's chagrin. He still remembers the question his father asked him at the time. Would Siracusa be better off without the Familia? Leon? Leon! Wake up! Dmitri? Why are you lying on the ground here? Where is the Don? Were you attacked? No. Father, he... Right, my father. Where is he? Nobody knows where the Don is, and just now Rubio broke the news about our alliance with the Saluzos over the radio. He also slandered us, accusing us of joining together against Signora Sicilia. Now all the Familia are looking right at us. Would Siracusa be better off without the Familia? That's not exactly slander, is it? Leon? I know what my father wants to do. Who would have thought this Rubio guy was actually a complete idiot? What are you talking about? He's clearly a good man. No, what I mean is, what's the point of him even saying stuff like this? He finally managed to climb up to that position, and now he's gonna die over a few sentences. What a waste of a perfectly good life. Are you crying? No, I'm not. Want a tissue? Thanks. Who are you? Employees only. I am the boss of Familia Bellone, but you can call me Bernardo. Huh? The Don of Familia Bellone? What brings another Dodici Don here? If memory serves me properly, this place is supposed to split off and become the secondary command tower of the new nomadic city's core. That's right. Then there is one thing I'd like to ask of you. What are you doing? Begin the separation sequence for the secondary core area. Impossible. But that does explain everything. What my father told you, that we were planning to ignite an all-out war between the Familia and flush Signora Sicilia out, it was a feint. From the very beginning, Familia Bellone has just been a bargaining chip for him. Everything you see now was his design. Everything was for the sake of a Siracusa without Familia. You seriously expect me to believe that the Don of the most powerful Familia in the country is trying to destroy all the Familia? You have no choice but to believe, Dmitri. You just said all the Familia are looking at us, right? Yes, but even if they believed Rubio, nobody would dare to do anything rash so soon. But it's just a matter of time. The fuse has already been lit. Would Siracusa be better off without the Familia? Padre mio, this is what you've believed all this time. That's why you had the Metri test me in the first place. But what do you want me to do? What can I even do? Leon. Huh? You said before that you'd handle things your way, Leon. I did. Then you should focus up. Whatever the situation, at this critical moment, the Dawn is not here. You are now the boss of the Familia. We have to do something. I know. Go and tell the Saluzas that I want to meet with Alberto. Then get in touch with the Rosati man, Valak. You mean... I see. What is it I hope to do? By building goodwill through Karachi's legacy, you got the people to believe that you really choose to draw all the fire purely out of a desire to avenge him. It wasn't until the end that you finally revealed a sliver of your real face. Your self-control is admirable, Rubio. Unfortunately, I knew a long time ago that you and Karachi were on the same path. Neither of you were willing to accept the yoke of Familia rule forever. Only he stepped onto the stage like a moth to a flame, while you concealed yourself a bit better. After all, I was in charge of the liquidation 30 years ago. I remembered him, and naturally, I remembered you as well. It came as a surprise to me that you chose to make your move now, but that brings with it opportunity. Is the separation sequence still not complete? It'll be done shortly. I hope you know that stalling for time and playing petty tricks won't accomplish anything.
The lives of all my colleagues are in your hands. I'm not kidding. I don't want anything to do with the conflicts between your big familia. I just hope you keep your promise.
You say that, but the look in your eyes and the beating of your heart tells me that you're ready to die with me. Relax, I just want to ask you a question. Have you ever thought about what a Siracusa without Familia would look like? Dan Brown stares blankly at the scene unfolding in front of his eyes. He has slain many people and seen his fair share of corpses. He became numb to the sight of blood a long time ago. But this is something altogether different. Dan Brown, are you still here? The Don wants to meet the Bellona and Rosati bosses, so hurry up and do what you need to do. What is the Don doing? Are you deaf, Dan Brown? The Don is about to meet the Bellonas and told us to prepare. Prepare what? You don't get it? The Don sincerely wanted to cooperate with the Bellonas, and that broadcast just now was them trying to drag us underwater. How could the Don let that go unpunished? The Bellonas were the first to sully our honor, so it's not our fault if we're a little discourteous with them. The Don's meaning is obvious. Follow his orders at the meeting. Familia Bellona is about to be wiped from Siracusa. Why are they chasing money and power instead of violence and conflict? Is killing me today just a cathartic release of this violence? Or is it because I got in the way of the people behind you taking power? Dan Brown suddenly understands why he hasn't been able to sleep at night. Texas knows why she has been hesitating. She doesn't like to think, and that means when she encounters a situation in which she is forced to think, she plans everything to the letter in advance. She anticipated this well before she ever set out on her trip to Siracusa. She knew she would have to fight. But she believes that what she did in Lungmen was not fundamentally different from what she had to do in Columbia or Siracusa. She does not believe that her life in Lungmen is righteous, yet as she does not believe that her life in Siracusa or Columbia was evil. She has always dealt in the logistics of life and death. She knew she would one day have to face the land of Siracusa, but she had already made up her mind. Just as she had once asked her grandfather this question. Isn't Siracusan morality just trampling on the lives of the people all the same? She even anticipated meeting up with an old acquaintance like Giovanna. She really did anticipate all of this. And that's why she has been tossing and turning sleeplessly for several nights. But the one thing she did not expect was that she would meet people here who wanted to change the place. Leon Tutso, even though he is the heir to a familia, his way of thinking is progressive. His ideas may still be mature, but they are never violent. Lavinia, a puppet of Signora Sicilia's will, but a judge who nevertheless wants the law to apply equally. Caracci, even though she never met him, she learned from many sources that he served the people as Ministro dei Lavori Pubblici. And finally, she used to feel that there would never be an end to all this, that she was powerless to change Siracusa, that everything was too deeply entrenched. So she chose to run. However, after returning this time, she's met people who wanted to make this land a better place, and they were hurt, one after another. Would she still choose to run? Father! Chalina's over here! She has been hesitating because her desire to return to Lungmen is real. But at the same time, her anger towards the plight of those people is just as real. And right before her eyes, a good man with good intentions is forced by this country to cry out at the cost of his life. That is when Texas realizes. Never in her life has she felt so outraged.
Oh, what's with the crowd? Looks like some of them are starting to charge. Don't blame me for this, Texas. I've already done what I could.
Why would I blame you?
Hiya, partner. You got a good rest.
Good enough.
You look pretty mad.
So you can tell.
Of course, just like how you can guess what I want to eat from my mood. We've been partners for so many years.
Exia, a good man just died.
I heard.
There's something I want to do for him.
I was thinking the same thing. Do my ears deceive me, Texas? You're planning on staying, aren't you?
Lapland. Thank you for doing your best to help me get back to Lungmen. But I've already made up my mind. There are a few people out there who don't deserve to die like that. They need help. They deserve it.
Can you actually do anything about that? Is this little fairy tale enough to make you choose a different path?
This little fairy tale is more than enough to make me choose a different path. Some things aren't that complicated at all, Lapland. You, on the other hand, how long are you going to stay on a leash?
What? Are you lecturing me now?
Take it as a little advice from someone who's been there. Exia, I'm going to break the encirclement. Back me up.
You got it. Texas, you're always full of surprises.
The sounds of footsteps and screams gradually dissipate with Texas and Exia's departure, and the alley falls silent again. Only the hollow laughter of the lone wolf continues to reverberate. Until she too stops laughing. She turns her gaze in a certain direction, not the one Texas left, but rather where Familia Saluzza resides.
Father, he... Feel any better? Yes. Your Honor, why would my father do something like that? I wish he would have kept doing what he did before. If only he just kept on being an ordinary secretario. You might not understand this yet, but your father was a great man. I'll send people to keep you safe. Stay inside and don't wander out. Alright? I can feel it. After what my father has done, the whole city is going to turn upside down. You should hide here with me. Thank you, but I have work to do.
Lavinia walks out of the room. The peal on that gunshot resounds throughout Wool City. Even the dark clouds part for a few minutes as if spooked, letting a few strands of sunlight filter through for the first time in ages. Her agreement with Bernardo was once her only goal. To the point that when she found out Bernardo had broken his promise, she didn't know what to do with herself. But now she knows. Because she's been told she does not stand alone. And the ones who told her made a sacrifice 100 times more heroic than her struggles. Compared to them, she might actually be the lucky one. But she does not plan to stand by and rely on this luck.
Ministro Rubio, your sacrifice will not be in vain.
She strokes the codex in her hands, a few names from Rubio's diary still lingering in her head. She has either seen them before or heard of them. This is the most beautiful legacy that Rubio has left behind for her. Moreover,
who is it? Penguin Logistics. Need something delivered?
Don Alberto. I came because I heard Bellone wanted to speak with me. What, does Bernardo not even dare to show his face?
My father made his own decision. Just trust that I can speak on behalf of Familia Bellone.
Oh. You mean to tell me that you have a satisfactory explanation for all this? Or are you confident enough to deal with the fallout?
What I want to say is...
Dan Brown, I didn't call for you to come out yet. No, the time is now, old man. Dan Brown points the weapon in his hand at Alberto. Dan Brown, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid you're pointing your knife at the wrong target. I don't make mistakes. Look what the Familia bosses have become. You all sit high and mighty above the rest of us, talking all fancy about your politics, trends, country, and future. But what's the reality? The only thing you give a damn about is your own business. We took the times with violence, old man. Why not take a little pride in it? The times have changed, Dan Brown. Why don't you understand this? We're shaping the times as we want. I don't understand it. I just see us turning weak and stupid. We don't take pride in our instincts, and we don't use peace to fight for peace. If we keep this up, what will we become? We won't become anything. No, we're not a pack of wolves anymore. We're monsters hiding in human skin. And our leaders. You. And you. You aren't more civilized. You're just more hypocritical.
Looks like I should have kept you on a tighter leash than Brown.
This isn't your podium. Nobody could have caught what happens next. In the blink of an eye, Alberto appears behind Dan Brown. A streak of blood appears across the car wash worker's throat. He grips his neck, his eyes wide, unable to make a sound. Then he slowly slumps to the ground, maintaining his posture. He will never speak again.
Now that this matter is resolved, I won't beat around the bush, Leon Tuzzo. Your father convinced me to agree to combine our familia's forces to take down Signora Sicilia. But I don't see sincerity in anything you've done. The people know that I, Don Alberto, never place a bet lightly. What they don't know is that once I do, I never stop until I win.
Don Tuzzo, submit to Familia Saluzzo, or die, here and now. You have 10 seconds. Alberto takes out an antiqued pocket watch from his waist and begins counting down Leon Tuzzo's fate. 10.
You've always got the option of violence, but you refrain from using it because of your upbringing and self-control. I'd even like to thank you for your kindness.
That's not what I meant.
And I'm not blaming you either, Leon. For you to even consider why the rain hasn't stopped is already exceptionally rare to see.
9. You've subconsciously lumped yourself in with Lavinia and Karachi. But don't ever forget, you are not one of them.
I know.
If you really knew, you wouldn't be standing here. 8. Don Tuzzo thought he understood what they were trying to say. He could never truly be Lavinia's ally. He would always be his father's son. This is the life he was born into, something he cannot change, and in spite of that, he has always believed he has done his best. Is his best not good enough? But 7. You aren't more civilized, you're just more hypocritical. This is the moment when he finally awakens. It isn't a question of good enough. He has been wrong from the very beginning. 6. We aren't more civilized. We're just more hypocritical. We aren't more civilized. We're just more hypocritical. 5. Right, that's right. Why is he sitting here? Why did he still think he could resolve this like the Familia do? He knew the answer all along, but he chose to ignore this answer for the longest time because of who he is and where he came from. 4. Everything he's done before was just violence wrapped up in pretense. And civility can never be born from violence. 3. You're running short on time, Leon Tuzzo. I choose. What just happened? Boss, the secondary core area. Someone started the separation program. What did you say? So this is your last resort, father. Then I'll... Too naive. Huh? You're pretty fast for your age. Arasati. Leon, I'm here. You go on ahead. I'll handle this. Alright. I see. This is Bellana's trump card. But, are you sure you really want to make an enemy of me, Don Alberto, and of these Siracusa? You expect me to believe you were ever really going to be our friend? A shared interest could have been the bond connecting us, pup. But there's something to your youthful delusions, thinking you can actually turn things upside down. You old fossils always think you can control everything, but you never stop to consider whether the times have left you behind. Come then, pups. Let me try your hand. Lontuzza knows that as the Don of a Familia, he should return home and navigate his people through these turbulent times to maximize their profit. But as a man who thinks he understands Lavinia's ideals, a man who saw the way Karachi conducted himself, as a man who has always been lost, he's never been clearer about what he should do next. He can't lie to himself anymore. I'm sorry, Demetri. He does not walk the path of his familia. He knows where his father is. I did what I had to do. It won't be long before it reaches Zaro. The time has come. Agnes's Fang, Luna Cub. You've kept me waiting.
You're never alone, and I'm not good at taking a lot of opponents at once.
I don't make a wise target.
Agnes told me that of the remaining fangs, you are the one who most deserves to die. You've toyed around with the thing called power, trying to use that garbage to win this.
Quite a profound insight from La Signora de Lupi. Do you know where the remaining fangs are?
No.
One now lives at a company called Rhode Island. Keep this one in mind. She returned to Siracusa not too long ago. Keep this in mind. Another, knowing that there was no hope of victory, went into hiding and cultivated a student early. These two wandering wolves have now returned to Siracusa. Keep that in mind. Another is still hiding in the wastes. And as long as I remain here, I can track their movements. With a little more power, I could exercise my will to find them, and have my men eliminate them. This is what Zaro discovered, the might of power.
Does that count as victory?
It's what he believes.
How strange.
The strange one is you, Fang of Agnes. You didn't come here to kill me, did you?
I was just a little curious. You don't seem like an evil man, or one who wields power, as you claimed.
What do you see when you look at me, then?
A beast who went looking for a place to die, now laying peacefully in it.
Are those wise guys gone yet?
They're gone, right?
Thank goodness, I thought they were going to start fighting.
But what are we going to do with this body?
I don't want to touch it.
Still, I can't help but feel a bit bad for this guy.
I'll handle it.
Who are you?
Just a friend of this nameless man. You've discovered something important, my friend. Violence is done in the name of civility. That is the true nature of the Familia. And we must come to terms with what we call civility, even if it's another pretense, even if it's just a form of self-restraint, even if it's only a stone's throw from our basest instincts. An earnest desire for civility will always be different from using it to whitewash your sins.
Neither this country nor this city will remember you. But I will remember you, Dan Brown, the car wash worker. Together with Rubio, the two of you have proven the lie that Familia can change and adapt.
Alright, and this takes us into our battle stage, which I said will be included in this narration, but for the sake of people who are following along maybe this narration without either playing the game or haven't played it for a while, I will not show why I'm showing this right now, and I will let it play out. I will, however, once our special guest appears on stage, slow down the game to the regular speed until the individual is off the stage again. So, this is our party. Let's go in.
ここなら私が先導しよう。ライブスタート。これで静かになってくれ。とっととこの茶番劇。逆転。繁栄か、あるいは滅びか。これで静かになってくれ。ちょっとからかってあげようっと。さあ、あと少し。バカ。遺言の伝達。断る。とっととこの茶番劇を終わらせる。
And there is our special guest. I'll say this, I laughed my ass off when he appeared on stage. That is amazing. That sprite is beautiful. Even has the goddamn sleeping mask on. Father Agonir. Unlimited attack range while under a set liquidation. Attacks using ammo decrease the target's defense. Maximum 10 ammo. So enjoy. I want to point out that his eyes on the sleeping mask do open up. So just pay attention to the sprite. Alright, who do we get? Actually perfect. Actually perfect. Alright, so now we shall add the description for Father Agonir. Agonir, Sancta Priest, one of the founders of Siracusa's ironclad order. Do not hesitate, though he does not necessarily stand opposed to you, his guns speak first. By the way, his favorite eye mask was made in Lungmen. I love that the mask has lore. The freaking mask has lore. That is funny. Anyway, we shall continue with the after story for stage 9. So let's go. We ended up letting him go. He stopped wanting to fight us halfway through. You felt it too, didn't you? If he really wanted to kill us, he could have gotten it done. He just didn't want to take the time. We can't underestimate any of the Siracusan familia. You got one thing wrong. I've never underestimated any of them. Every familia is my enemy, including the Ballones. Don't you think you're jumping the gun a bit there? You don't seem surprised. You betrayed your own boss. You expect me to believe you'd really go in with us? But let me point out, now isn't a good time. The Metri does not waver in the face of Valak's sharpened blade, instead turning back to his soldiers. What's going on in the city? Nothing good. The Familia know the secondary core separation sequence started. People are all pretty mad at us and the Saluzos. Wise guys from other familias are hitting us now too. What about the thing I asked you to handle? You were right on the money. The eyes and ears we planted in the other familia tell us even though the people are angry at the Ballones and Saluzos, we aren't their main deal here. All the chaos is down there, exactly what all the familia were looking for. Everything Signora Sicilia kept down is bubbling right up to the surface now. There's already fighting over how to divvy up Bellon and Saluzzo assets, and we've got some old grudges out there getting settled. Everyone's hopping in, directly or indirectly. This is exactly what you wanted, huh, boss? So you betrayed us after all. Valak, you're not an idiot. You get that there's no point to us fighting right now. Isn't it better to solve the big problem first? Is this how the Rosatis handled everything back in Colombia? You really think you can swallow up Siracusa all on your own? Pick your friends wisely, Valak. Ugh. Don't fret, don't feel too bad. Not like I'm jumping for joy to team up with somebody like you. Where's Leon? What, he didn't come back home? Nope, no trace of him anywhere. He's avoiding us, obviously. Leon, don't tell me. The Metri takes a deep breath. There is no point in overthinking things now. He has to face reality. Now that the Familia are starting to bite one another, this is the best chance we'll have to take the secondary core area. If we're gonna have a future, we'll have to take hold of it first. Don Alberto? What's the situation? It's mayhem out there. Wise guys from multiple familia are taking advantage of the confusion to attack us, and our soldiers have started to fight back. Things have spiraled out of control. That's funny. This can't possibly be what the Leon Tutsa kid meant. Now that I think of it, Bernardo, even though Lapland showed up on a whim, you included us in your calculations, didn't you? The ironclad law laid down by Sicilia is crumbling. You've set fire to everything that took decades to make Siracusa what she is. Is this what you wanted? Why? Where's Lapland? We haven't been able to reach her since yesterday morning. Forget it. Boss, it's a madhouse out there. You want us to wait and see if anything changes? Even if I wanted to keep Familia Saluzzo out of this, it's no longer possible. Bernardo, that old runt. Can't believe he even accounted for all of this. Tell our people out there to come back. Then send some of our heaviest to the command tower in the secondary core area The Bolanas and Rosatis aren't going to let it go. Do you mean? I have no interest in that new city, but I'm not about to let it fall into the hands of those who've betrayed me either. Padre! Leon, I never expected you to find this place. I happen to recall it from memory. Since you're here, come, take a seat. I know what you're trying to do here. Do you? Since the very beginning, you wanted to see Siracusa return to the dark times of 60 years ago. You want the Familia all tearing into each other. If Signora Sicilia didn't step in, Siracusa's Familia may well have mortally wounded each other. But this time, you want them to break free of Signora Sicilia's chains and to fight each other until nothing is left. So you understand after all. But you didn't come here to confirm your conjecture with me, did you? What I want to know is, what exactly made you think this way? When I was 20 years old, I was just an ordinary Bologna wise guy. They wanted me to rob somebody out. I couldn't pull it off, so I had to flee into a nearby village. I took a new identity and went into hiding. I lived there for almost 6 months. Nothing particularly notable happened during that time. But those 6 months gave me an entirely new perspective on the country I lived in. There is no corner in Siracusa completely free from the influence of the Familia, but in places like the villages outside the city, the Familia are just your run-of-the-mill, thuggish bullies. I found a job as a cobbler, and for that summer, I plied my trade by the side of the road and watched them go about their business. In the end, nothing they did impressed me at all, but I will never forget that summer when sweat flowed from my brow like rain. Then, whether it's you, me, or any other wise guy, we've all been branded from birth. But it was during that summer that I realized life in Siracusa will continue, even with no Familia. So that's why you helped Lavinia, and didn't mind that the two of us were growing closer. You genuinely wanted to support her cause, don't you? In all honesty, I did not want to see the kind of justice she envisions. I did want to see. Which is why you didn't have insurance for this plan. You don't need me, Lavinia, or anyone else assuming any of the risk. You think that when you tear down the Familia holding down the people, their lives won't be negatively impacted at all. Absolutely. But that doesn't go far enough, Padre mio. It doesn't? No, it's far from enough. Letting the Familia tear into each other until they've worn themselves out may overturn the existing system, but that isn't enough to get Siracusa back into the hands of the people. Are you worried about Signora Sicilia? No, what I'm worried about is inertia. I came to realize something while working as Karachi's assistant. The Familia have had their roots here for thousands of years. Even if the people reject the Familia, they have no idea what shape Siracusa might take. Even after they overthrow the old system, will they manage to build something new? I don't think so. The people will be overwhelmed, not knowing what happened. All they'll know is that their house has suddenly collapsed. And when they go to build on top of those ruins, they'll build what amounts to a Familia. Nothing will change at all. If we continue down this path, we may bring about a Siracusa without Familia, for a bit. But the Siracusa you're dreaming of will never come. You're dreaming too big, Padre mio. You want to give them your Siracusa, but you never stop to think if they're willing to be able to accept it. All we can do is to let everyone out there know what's happening, and involve them in the process. That's the only way we can start the conversation on a Siracusa without the Familia. Looks like my son's all grown up. I thought you came here for a good old-fashioned father-son argument. I didn't expect you to teach me something.
Padre mio.
So, what are you going to do?
I'll go find Lavinia, organize a coalition of non-familia forces, and seize control of the secondary core's command tower. As long as the new city is under my control, I'll have the advantage. As for whether I'll be able to negotiate with Signora Sicilia or if I'll have to confront her directly, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But no matter what happens, we'll be betraying Demetri and our whole familia.
Do it your way then, Leon.
You were the one who started this whole mess. Don't even think about sitting on the sidelines and leaving everything to me.
Don't worry, I'll catch up with you.
Good.
Don Agadir, I hear you never set foot in church.
Siracusa doesn't need churches. If we accept the teachings of Laterano, we're doomed to be influenced by their culture. In the end, all I can do is choose to distance myself. But it's worth making an exception for a man like you.
Done.
Your Honor, everyone's all here. I've counted over 50. That's a lot less than before. The people planted in here by the Familia have all gone back home, haven't they?
That's right.
Ironic as that may be, it does save me some effort. Listen up. The courts occupy an awkward position in Siracusa. We represent the will of Signora Sicilia to some extent and in return gain a certain amount of power. But this power is not enough for us to fulfill our obligations. Quite the contrary. In many cases, the power we hold only makes us more aware of how powerless we are in the face of the entities known as Familia. We can neither lower our heads and accept it as most ordinary people can, nor can we truly integrate into these Familia. Throughout this process, many of our colleagues have been ostracized, pushed out, or even killed because they could not bear the situation any longer. In fact, even if they ended up betraying the law, I would not be in a position to blame them. The truth is, I'm only where I am today because of my connections to Familia Bellona. You all know what happened, and what is happening out there. At first I assumed all I could do is what I always did before. Pray that the Familia struggles don't chew through too many common folk, and that Signora Sicilia would come to mete out the justice for us in the end. However, a brave man told us that he thinks the Familia system is evil, and that all of this is unjust. He wanted to change everything, and so he pinned his hopes on me. All of you, just like me, come from outside the Familia system. You've all worked with me for so many years, and I believe that among you, there are those who harbor even greater grievances against the Familia than I, and those who understand the status quo more deeply than I. Therefore, I would like to ask all of you to help me.
A moment of silence passes.
What can we even do? The separation sequence of the new core city's core area started not long ago. This confirms the conspiracy conjured by the Bellonas and Salutos, as revealed by Ministro Rubio. For the Familia, this was the spark that ignited new conflict, and for us, it is an opportunity. The new nomadic city will be our bargaining chip amidst the chaos, whether negotiating with Signora Sicilia or jockeying the power with the Familia.
Another moment passes in silence.
Even with all of us together, we don't have enough people. I have 2 reliable friends. Hello, everyone.
Gelinia, why are you... And how come I've never heard of another Sancta of Monsini?
All you need to know is that Chelinia and her friend are on our side. Also, Minister Rubio left some resources to help me, and I managed to get in touch with them. They will assist us. But I must be honest with you all. This is a perilous road, and I can't guarantee that everyone will survive. Those who don't want to put their lives on the line are free to leave.
Even if we succeed, will it really accomplish anything?
I can't promise you it will. The only thing I can promise is that I'm willing to give my life for this.
Only 30-some odd people remain, but they have no intention of leaving. I should be thanking you for giving me this opportunity, Your Honor. I would have gone crazy without you here at the courthouse. I heard the radio broadcast. I knew right away what happened. And honestly, I can't take this anymore. Maybe we won't actually be able to do anything in the end, but I at least want those wise guys to know that we are not lumps of fin meat for them to butcher.
Thank you, all of you.
Signora Lavinia, ready on our end.
So soon?
The Familia are all stirred up now. They don't usually give the common folk a second look. Even now, they probably don't think we can get in their way at all. But we have to let them know that they've never really had a hand in running the city. This town belongs to us. Take your people and go to the control tower. We'll see everything at our we'll use everything at our disposal to hold back the wise guys as best as we can.
Thank you. Do your best.
We're the ones who should be thanking you. We never took the Familia head on, and now we're leaving the most dangerous work to you.
I'm ready and willing.
In Bocca Lupo.
Crepi.
So the two sentences that were just said very just quickly. I had to look them up because I was obviously curious as always what that means. Basically the first sentence, in Bocca Lupo, is essentially just good luck, but it means good luck, but it's kind of the same thing, kind of in a similar fashion, like giving a actor the break a leg kind of good luck. But it translates to in the mouth of the wolf, roughly, I guess. Which is, I guess, as weird as wishing an actor break a leg. The second thing that Lavinia said, crepi. Now, I am not sure if it's common to just use the short term. The thing that I found, like this is how you respond to in Bocca Lupo, would be crepi lupo, which in full is something along the lines of may the wolf die. So there you go. Now you know more. Because I also now know more. Anyway, let us continue. You used Karachi as bait, got your own son involved, and even tricked your own associates under the righteous pretense of handling Sicilia, all to muddy the waters of the city. You didn't even waver in the face of Saluzzo's lone wolf. Instead, you took that opportunity to drag Saluzzo into the mud with you. The high-profile assassination of the Rosati girl was, on one hand, to convince Alberto that he had an ally in you, while on the other hand, serving as an example to the other Familia. You've made full use of Texas as your final card. In Giovanna's hands, the Rosatis were a deadly but hidden saber. But in Valak's hands, they are a savage and ostentatious knife. You saw Rubio's connection with Karachi, and even took advantage of his anger. He thought no one knew his self-restraint. He never expected that you had already uncovered him. I knew you'd be in town, but I didn't expect you to see through all my plans so easily. It is always easier to track back the steps in retrospect. And your plan has already been set in motion. Even if I was able to deduce all this, there is nothing more I can do. Even if Sicilia were to pop up right here, right now, even she would be hard-pressed to resolve everything. Who would have imagined that the Don of the most powerful familia would use his own people as bait to bring all the others down with him? You don't seem particularly upset about it. Sicilia never asked me for a Siracusa that would flourish forever, and I was never after wealth or power. What you've done undoubtedly breaks the rules that Sicilia established, and so I really did come to end you. But your father-son talk there surprised me. Oh? Sicilia has never tolerated any disruptions to her order because no one came with an answer that could satisfy her. But you, Bernardo, have an excellent son. You won't be able to shake apart the society Sicilia built with her own two hands. Not by yourself. But if your son came along with you, then maybe. It wouldn't be completely impossible. Life is full of surprises. I thought I realized my lifelong dream and could die happy today. Who knew that I'd changed my mind, that I want to live to see what Leon can do? It's too bad. For a moment, Agonir casts his gaze in the direction of Grey Hall. Something inhuman is approaching. I see. I've heard of this. Is it also a part of your plan? It's something that has to be done. That's all. Please go, Don Agonir. This is the price I have to pay. So be it. Just a moment, Reverend. Don Agonir, or rather Padre. I've never prayed to anyone in my entire life. And I don't think I'll find closure with anyone else. The Lord can't answer me. But right here, I do have some questions only you can answer. By all means. How did Signora Sicilia feel when she came back from Laterano? Conflicted. She was distressed about the challenges she was to face. She was looking forward to the society she was about to create. More or less the same as you're feeling right now.
Alright, okay. I know. You be careful too. How are Texas and Exia doing? They're with Lavinia right now. Said they were doing her a favor. The judge lady, huh? At least she's a bit more put together than Bilana family fellas from before. Hope nothing bad happens to them. Yeah. Miss Giovanna, you're awake? Not dead? The assassin missed your heart by a couple centimeters, and you pulled through. I gotta say though, it's a good thing you're in such excellent shape, otherwise you probably wouldn't have made it. Well, look. How long was I unconscious for? A day. I'm guessing a lot has happened over the course of that day. Tell me what's going on. Alright.
You're finally here, Don. Or should I say, Zaro.
Bernardo, what are you scheming?
Don't play dumb. I can tell you're in denial about the conclusions you've drawn.
You dare?
Why wouldn't I dare? You've pushed into me a lifetime of power and betrayal. You're so prideful and arrogant, you'd never imagine that one day I could betray you too.
Don't forget, Bernardo. I'm the one who made you everything you are.
A pitch-black mist wraps around Bernardo's neck, but he pays it no heed. You still don't get it, Zaro. The game you Signori de Lupi are playing means nothing to me. Siracusa is the absolute limit of your imagination. You think that ultimate power is to control a country, multiple countries, or even to subjugate all the lands. But I don't think so. Real power is the power to command an entire epoch. In my original plan, Siracusa would fall along with me. Now my son has shown me that he sees a bigger picture. You should take comfort in that. Now, take that comfort back to your mountain forest. In this round of the game, you have lost.
I lost? I still have countless ways to...
Il Signore de Lupi has many ways to control his fangs. However, Zaro immediately notices a trail of blood running from the corner of Bernardo's mouth.
Poison? You were playing this from the very beginning, weren't you, Bernardo?
Bernardo does not answer. He has always lost the strength. He has already lost the strength to speak. He simply lifts his head and looks at the wide open doors of the church. His gaze passes over flower beds, tall buildings, and dark clouds, until it finally passes through time itself. He sees the summer of that year when he, as a cobbler, was sweating profusely beneath the scorching sun. But he felt an unprecedented fulfillment from it. That feeling would haunt him for the rest of his life. He slowly closes his eyes, like a true king.
Imbecile! You're imbecile!
The giant wolf's roar reverberates through the church, but no one is there to answer him. After a while, he turns his gaze to the direction Leontuzzo left. He does not accept such failure. Absolutely not. The streets of Volsini are either packed with fighting familia or completely empty. Not a soul notices an old woman walking slowly, or the city gate. And not far away, a blindfolded Sancta quietly awaits her arrival.
You can already see the buildings of the new city from here.
That's right. Spectacular, isn't it?
If you ask me, the edges and corners are a bit too sharp for my liking.
That just means your tastes are behind the times, Sicilia.
Oh, could yours be any better?
So, have you made up your mind?
Not yet. Let's send out warnings to the noisiest familia.
As Signora Sicilia's voice falls, a few black shadows spring out not too far behind her. They quickly disappear into the buildings of Volsini.
Then I'd like to go and see an old friend.
In my opinion, is my opinion alone not sufficient?
It's always better to get a second opinion and a third. So you are here?
Agonir told you that, didn't he?
Sure enough.
I love the food here. It's great stuff.
It's been a while, Ben.
It certainly has, Sicilia. What brings you here, I wonder?
Any guesses?
If you just wanted to get the city back under control, you probably wouldn't come to me.
Bernardo understands the wolf pack, and his plans ultimately boil down to 4 words. Don't rock the boat. He's gotten the Dodici familia all bloodthirsty, and that bloodlust doesn't quench easy. But it's not too hard either. But I heard some other things from Agonir, and would like a little input from an old friend. I don't have anything in particular to say. This is a legitimate dining establishment, and it needs a new head chef. That's about it. I thought you'd have some feelings about the current state of Siracusa. Nostalgia is also a feeling. You're fickle, aren't you? Do you really need my opinion? Not really. But I am interested in hearing the thoughts of a man born to civilization who's removed himself from it. In every era, people are bound by the chain of the times into which they were born. You don't escape from that. Bernardo's ideals were an obsession born from your era. He was stuck with using violence to tear it down. He couldn't get past that. What about his son? Who can say? It's not like I can predict the future. But you see it too, don't you? We're watching the birth of a new era here.
Alright then, and now we are gonna make a quick pit stop, and we are gonna go over 2 new characters that get added into the solo section here. The first one that gets added is Agonir. So, let's go over his entire file, shall we? So, first we have Guns beget might. Order begets law. The old man heads back to the courthouse to resume his slumber. The old code of law may be changing, but this time he does not hold the pen. So then, considering he basically unlocks and finishes immediately throughout the entire thing, let's go through the entire thing. Beginning at the Chitanoa Main Street, I ran into Ben outside on my way from the church. Bernardo, if I told you that Siracusa of your dreams already exists precisely because of what you're trying to destroy, how would you react? It was never the familia that mattered, it's the rules. Well, whatever. Maybe I've gotten too old too. I didn't expect the geezer who spends his days sleeping to get all sentimental now. Ben. Continuing at the Shady Park. Care for a drink? I'll pass. How dull. Agonir sits next to Ben, picks up the bottle and takes a swig. Not at all whatever with his appearance. Can't remember how you pronounce this. Anyway, I thought you were just going to sleep in the courthouse until this was all over. I thought you were going to side with the young wolf Leontuzzo. At least in name, I am still one of Sicilia's Bocca al Lupo. Am I not? I didn't expect you to finally embrace that title. Bocca al Lupo. Yes, while it sounds very similar to In Bocca al Lupo, I couldn't really find a concrete translation to this. The only thing I can pardon. The only thing I can put very closely to it would be the mouthpiece of the wolf, of the wolves. I'm pretty much just basing it on the other thing, considering a word is missing, and the implications, I guess. But anyway, if someone actually knows what that translates to, please do leave a comment. Anyway, after all, I am a man of contradictions. I'm not too ready to acknowledge the glory of civilization, but I'm not after a pointless death either. Although you've got just as many contradictions. You set the rules that have governed Siracusa for the past few decades, but unlike Sicilia, you never insisted you were right. I only trust that I am not wrong neither. Who knows? Ben declines to say anything more. only taking a deep swig of the bottle of wine in his hand. Shady Parker again. What are you going to do next? Pretty much the same as always. I'll go wherever the good shows are. How about you, old man? Me? Let me ask you a question. Here you are today, sitting around helplessly watching the times change. But what about the past, when you left Laterano with Sicilia? When you set the laws of this land into stone, how did you feel then? I felt a torrent of emotions. Time is a flat circle. I've already told you this several times. I never liked your rules, but it doesn't mean I'll like the new ones either. A false civilization naturally pales before a civilization that comes from the heart. However, what comes from the heart is invariably as short-lived as it is brilliant. Sicilia is stubborn. She will take her society with her to the grave. But what about you? What you wanted wasn't an ironclad order, you just wanted to prove that laws can be created. Isn't that right? Yes, I've always been curious as to what exactly allows the Sancta to coexist on terms of absolute equality. And she craved the power to allow all the Familia to negotiate at the same table. That's why we chose to join forces. But the moment Guns and Order was brought into being, your goal of leaving Laterano had already been accomplished. What kept you in this country decades after that was not her society itself, but the promise you made to her. You've been around long enough, old man. What? You're not going to leave? But you're going to try to persuade me to go? I'm just concerned that your eyesight will get so bad you won't be able to see the road ahead of you. Continuing with the next destination. The courthouse is a great place to sleep. Hopefully nobody comes to bother me.
Agonir? You old sop, enough playing dead. I'll let you come here for your retirement, not so you could watch everything happen from the sidelines. Even if the results are basically acceptable right now, don't think that I'll forgive you so easily. Agonir? Getting angry so early in the morning is bad for you. Answer me. You didn't forget, did you? I asked you to come here to take care of someone for me.
So we had a couple of options here. I just went with Lavinia. For whatever reason, doesn't matter. Continuing.
Looks like I should have sent you to a nursing home instead of Volsini. Which is why I ask you to come with me.
Sicilia. Some things you won't see until you sit down on a park bench. I've seen some interesting things and figured you might want to join me.
And there are other things you won't see until you're sitting in Grey Hall. I didn't come here to listen to this Agonir.
Alright, I must say, we went a bit overboard this time. I'll admit I was in the wrong in certain respects. Now it's your turn.
You sound awfully confident about what I'm going to do next.
Otherwise I wouldn't have come here this time either.
Huh. Having a friend who understands you too well isn't always a good thing.
Signora Sicilia smiles and walks up to Agonir. Then the most exalted presence in Siracusa slowly kneels down. Her expression is of piety, like a devotee. To whom are you praying for forgiveness?
To Guns and Order.
What is your sin?
I accepted the challenge of a young man, and his goal is to destroy everything I've built.
Do you see this as a betrayal of Guns and Order?
I do.
Then why didn't you nip it in the bud?
Bernardo's methods went outside the rules, and I could not tolerate them. But Leon Tuzzo chose to sit in front of me, risking his own life to offer his ideas. I decided to give him a chance.
No, that's not the real reason.
I told him Siracusa will be resplendent while I live, but wither away after I die.
Do you not believe that the Guns and Order you created can live on?
I've learned one thing from the many heirs I've tried to cultivate. The next Signora Sicilia won't be born in an era of peace. When I decided to make all the Familia bow before me, the only things on my mind were ambition and passion. And over all the years I've managed the city, I can't help but feel somewhat sentimental for this one word, Siracusa. I will do everything in my power to crush him. But if he really does succeed in the end, then so be it.
On behalf of Guns and Order, your transgressions will be forgiven. Signora Sicilia stands up slowly. Her expression returns to normal, as if everything that just happened had nothing to do with her. How long has it been since the last time you confessed to me like that?
I forget.
How'd it feel?
I feel even worse.
It's not easy to be honest with yourself.
Agonir, do you think you've failed?
What about you? Don't you think you've succeeded?
When I think about that question, I realize we should really be asking what counts as success, and how long we have to hold up this country for it to count as a success.
Maybe we've only succeeded once we have every familia seated at the same table.
In other words, the Siracusa we've built is not a success?
Who knows? Sometimes just making fewer mistakes than others already counts as a success.
If that's true, I've definitely made fewer mistakes than most. After all, my mirror is still here, is it not?
Huh. You've got terrible taste in people. Continuing at the final stops, Judge Lavinia seems to have something to say at the courthouse.
Hello.
Oh, Your Honor, what business do you have with me?
Excuse me, but you are Don Agonir, aren't you? I heard from the courthouse that Signora Sicilia showed up in court yesterday. When I saw you around here, I assumed you were just a sancta living in the area. It wasn't until they brought it up that I realized you're actually Signorina Sicilia's right-hand man.
Oh well, it's not like I was trying so hard to conceal my identity anyway. Having that said, I didn't expect you to come looking for me. I thought you'd find me just as despicable as Sicilia.
That's not how I see things. Regardless of my thoughts on Signora Sicilia, I've always had great respect for the man who laid the legal foundations for this country. And that's you.
So, is there something you'd like to learn from me, my child?
This is kind of embarrassing, but actually, I'm not sure what I want to ask you. But after learning that you exist, I felt I need to talk to you.
Selecting the option Take out the Codex. Continuing at the courthouse.
This is the Code of Law? And a first edition too?
That's right. It's for you, my child.
This is priceless beyond measure.
The path you've chosen is completely opposite to mine. But I'm not as hard on our youth as Sicilia is, so please, treat this as a little present from me.
I actually don't think that's true.
Oh?
I don't think our paths head in opposite directions. The reason it was difficult to walk the path of a judge had nothing to do with the law itself, only the power of the Familia to largely render it irrelevant. To be honest, if I was able to handle every case to the letter of the law, I don't think I would be where I am today. Every judge believes that you, the man who wrote this code, know full well what justice is. The institution of Guns and Order should have also been the institution of the law, but instead it became a conversation among familia.
And this is the biggest misunderstanding you have about me, my child. Guns beget power, and order begets regularity. What I sought was never justice, but efficacy.
Then I will prove to you that the law can replace the customs of the familia.
My child, are you going to challenge me just as Leon Tuzzo challenged Sicilia?
That's right.
In that case, we'll just have to wait and see. Alright, this is where his part ends. But we get Ben. So, Ben, the wastes among civilization. In his eyes, there is no difference between civilization and wasteland. However, new developments never fail to pique his interest. Starting at the shady park, if a bystander were here, he would have to wonder, who is this man? Oh, before I start reading his lines, get ready for the most fourth wall breaking character since I guess Dian? Oh boy, his sentences are insanity. But he's actually not talking to us? Question mark. Exclamation mark. Anyway. If everything that unfolded in Volsini was observed by a bystander, that person would likely have a lingering suspicion. And that would be, who exactly am I? Benthonecinius. Why do I keep appearing in this story, yet do nothing? Why do I seem to know everything, yet stand on the sidelines? After all my talk of civilization and the wilderness, which side am I on and why? Well, I would first like to rid you of a misconception, and that is, I do not know everything. Everything I've said has been nothing more than reasonable conjecture based on the current state of Siracusa. If my conjecture proved to be correct, that only means that the country of Siracusa is too predictable. In fact, my commentary on operatic theater is far more cogent and thought-provoking, is it not? So, go ahead and take a guess as to what exactly I am. So, several options were here. I can't remember what the first one was. The first one was Signora Sicilia's like mouthpiece or something. The second was suicidal. The third one was long-lived, and I had to just pick long-lived because I felt like, come on, right? No? Yes? Maybe? But that one was like the probably trick one. But anyway, in terms of physical prowess or originium arts, I am little more than human. Obviously, I am not one of the immortals. As for being a moocher, I won't deny that I have some connection to Sicilia, but this relationship isn't exactly equal. In fact, I prefer to call myself a suicide victim. Some may wonder why a self-proclaimed suicide person is walking around grandiosely like he's living life to its fullest. And my answer to that is, I think I'm bad. Neither my existence nor my thoughts are of any benefit. I look at everything from an excessively sober perspective. I'm not willing to cheer on those who are struggling, nor willing to wave the flag around for their oppressors. To use an analogy, I like sitting in a pizza parlor and sipping red wine, but I'm no friend of pizza or wine. In fact, I look upon them both with derision. My attitude to life is the same. I want to commit suicide, but I think it'd be too shameful to do it myself, so I'm waiting for life itself to take the initiative to overcome me, knowing full well that I will die by suicide in the future. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, before you stands one who is both contradictory and unified. These contradictions used to trouble me, but now they keep me going. They drive me to keep asking, doubting, thinking, and laughing. Sicilia without a doubt recognized my harmful side, but she also happened to recognize my benign side, which is the reason I'm still alive. Over time, a relationship formed between the two of us that one could call friendship, though I wouldn't recommend calling it that in front of Agonir. You've been talking a whole lot of nonsense for a while now. Self-awareness is very important, Luna Cub. I know who I am, and what I need to do. But soon you won't know either. So yeah, while his entire text, the entire time, will be very fourth wall breaking, very double, triple, and maybe quadruple meaning, he is talking to Luna Cub as well. So there you go. Anyway, continuing at the next stop, time to head over to the theater to watch the final act of La Morte de Texas at the Teatro di Milano. I'm willing to wager the opera was not originally intended to end this way. From the beginning, the show drummed up an atmosphere of heroism, trying to wrap Texas in a layer of pathos. Without a doubt, Giovanna's own emotions have been woven into the script. But that being the case, it would be impossible for Chilinia to have exited the story in such a fashion in the original script. By the looks of things, something clicked for Giovanna over the course of this business. Not bad. It elevates this play from an exemplary yet commonplace work into a true masterpiece. Did you enjoy it, Luna Cup?
I didn't get it.
Of course you didn't. That's the reason I brought you here.
Huh?
Agnes must have already been prepared to let you, a girl born in the wilderness, set foot in the city.
Prepared?
Prepared for you to no longer be you.
But I am still me.
As far as I'm aware, the remaining fangs are all dependent on certain institutions. In other words, if you want to find them, you must adapt to the rules of civilization. You won't get as lucky every time as you did with Bernardo.
If I get used to civilization, will I stop being me?
You'll have to acquire a large number of skills that you do not need.
Why does that matter to you?
It doesn't. The fact that we even met in the first place was coincidence. I just want to let you know that you still have a choice.
What choice?
To see civilization as just another wilderness. To see high-rises and skyscrapers as nothing more than giant towering trees. To see the incessant flow of cars as nothing more than the stampeding of wild beasts. To see deception and conspiracy as nothing more than another hunting technique.
Will that change anything?
When you find yourself needing to clarify your own views on civilization, you'll know. And then finally, so, what do I think about this whole thing? There were two options. One was the Volsini prison, the other one is the Chitanoa main street, and as you can tell, I went with the main street. So, after coming to understand who I am, the audience may want to ask if I hold the same attitude toward Leontuzzo and Sicilia. My answer to that is undoubtedly yes. As members of the human population, we are required to celebrate everything that we have created. Otherwise, we would be denying our history. To avoid catastrophe, we constructed nomadic cities. To better our lives, our technology advances with each passing day. To better become a collective, we iterate upon our societal structure and methods of managing it. As members of the human collective, we accept that all this is to be appreciated. Subconsciously, we come to believe that we are worthy of better, more humane, more orderly, more equal lives. One might even plausibly conclude that a vast majority of conflicts in the world are not collisions between justice and evil, but rather from my good being better than your good. However, is that truly the case? How far have we stepped from the wastes? How far apart are we from the beasts? In which direction are we headed? The wheels of history push us forward without leaving any time for contemplation. But beneath all of that, as a human, I must believe that the emotions I feel at any given moment are genuine and come from the heart. Therefore, Rubio, then Brown, Leontuzzo, Lavinia, and even Sicilia, at the moment she decides to unite the Familia. Though their motives and objectives are all different, they deserve my admiration all the same. Of course, none of that has anything to do with why I showed up on the streets of Nuova Volsini. And now I must make an addendum to the question of my identity. My primary source of income is writing for our publications, which obviously leaves much to be desired financially. And as we speak, the privilege of living in the new city is being bought up rapidly. Naturally, this is of no concern to me. However, be it from an artistic standpoint or in consideration of what is to come, moving to Nuova Volsini is a much better option. So, I'm currently exploring my options. For example, finding a hole beneath a bridge in Nuova Volsini. Grab the luggage.
You could have just told me that I shouldn't be sleeping in the park. But in the end, didn't you also find a hole under a bridge?
What I taught you was the rules, and I couldn't care less about the rules.
Then why do you want me to follow the rules? Because you can't break the rules until you know what they are. But in any case, Luna Cub, thank you. I suppose this is where we should part ways. I think we won't see each other again for a very long time. Do you really have to live here? I do. As for you, I think you've already figured out what comes next. Yes? I will come see you. Some may interpret this as a farewell scene of the younger generation sending the older to prison. Go, Luna Cub. Best of luck on your hunt. I hope you... Just hope that life overcomes me sooner rather than later.
Alright. Oh, right. I also forgot to add the things that they carry. Basically... Can I? Yes, I can. Thank you. Basically, he carries a luggage case, but it says here, a strong and durable luggage case. There does not seem to be anything inside it, as there is nothing he needs to take with him. Okay, game decided to have some audio issues there. An Agonier holds the old codex. Whoa, what is going on? Is the game glitching out because I'm clicking on this while in this menu? An old legal codex. This was the earliest version of Siracusa's legal foundation, and upon it, the entire judicial system Siracusa would deploy. Alright. But with that... Okay, you know what? Give me a moment. Alright. Hopefully, should be fine now. Had a suspicion. Yes. Windows was updating itself in the background while I'm recording. Thank you very much, Windows. I love you. Not. Anyway, we shall continue our story on the secondary core area control tower. Control the tower and you control the city. This is our stage 10, the final battle stage before the epilogue scenes. And it's titled Signore dei Lupi. Wolf of the Wild, what has becometh of thee? So, before we do the usual here, we are obviously gonna go over the before part. So let's start.
Recon complete. No hostile sighted. The route map they gave us surely is nifty. We actually managed to get here first without any real obstacles along the way. All the tech used in the new city's design comes from Colombia. It has lots of functionality that none of the mafiosi ever understood. For example, the road leading directly to the control tower will be blocked off after we pass through. They've also managed to block other intersections with various methods. Not to mention what we saw along the way. The conflicts between the Familia have been spreading. At this point, even if any of them wanted to attack the control tower, another Familia would get in the way. Most importantly, they'd never expect us to take it from right under their noses. That's right. However, it's too soon to rest on our laurels. The Bellonas, Rosatis and Saluzos, those three Familia will never give up the secondary core area. They will definitely make an appearance. With me and Texas here, you've got nothing to worry about. Sorry, I wasn't trying to get I wasn't trying to get you dragged into this mess. I chose to do this. Same here. And in exchange, I'll need you to tell me where I can get the best pizza. Deal. You said the tech here comes from Colombia. That's right. Familia Rosati laid most of the groundwork, so I'm a little concerned they'll have some way of breaking through. If there's one place they have no choice but to pass through, where would that be?
Something's not right here.
You feel it too?
It has something to do with the it has something to do with the other Familia getting in the way, but while it's possible that big gate over there might have been activated accidentally, we've been taking detours for a while now, and I'm pretty sure these blockades were set here on purpose.
In other words, someone's one step ahead of us.
Yes, and they also happen to be very familiar with the area. And only the Rosatis fit that bill. The only other possibility would be those who helped in the conversion of the secondary control core area.
Let's not worry about who it could be for now. How do we break through?
I can give it a try. One of my soldiers should know how.
We're wasting too much time. And
if someone really set this up on purpose, they'll definitely have a backup plan. I know what you're going to say. Even though we haven't had the most fun partnering here, we're about to the part where our agreement formally ends.
Guess so.
You know, in a sense, we're brothers in misfortune.
We have nothing in common.
Am I wrong, though? I can already tell that you're a guy with a smart look to him, but you're actually a complete idiot, loyal to a fault, same as me.
Don't bother trying to talk yourself up like that. Nobody's buying it.
I'm not looking for excuses here. I know what I'm doing, and I don't regret it. But if what you said is true and your boss was the one who set all of this in motion, you're probably gonna find yourself standing against your own fratelli. Are you prepared to do what you've gotta do? Will you really get what you're looking for?
How about you? Did you get what you were looking for?
No, I've got a guilty conscience. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. Your Honor, I found the control tower technicians hiding in one of the rooms. They want to talk to you.
Deal. You're a judge? Don't worry, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here on behalf of any Familia or Signora Sicilia. Then, who are you here for? Right now, no one. Alright. As long as you don't hurt us, we should be able to help you. I want to ask you something first. What? Who told you to start the separation sequence of the secondary core area? Was it a mafiosi from Familia Bellone? He said he was the Don of Familia Bellone, Bernardo. It really was you, Bernardo. Did you have to do this all for the sake of your so-called power? He also asked me if I had ever imagined what Siracusa would look like without Familia. What did you say?
Up ahead is the central facility that controls that gate, isn't it? Yeah. Then... life keeps bringing us together, doesn't it, Chilinia? That's right. Only one of us can walk out of this alive. Lavinia, the judge. Yeah, we followed your instructions and not to break through right away. We took some detours and nabbed ourselves a government guy. That's what he told us. He's already taken the control tower. I have to admit, no Familia would have thought such an insignificant judge could pull off something like that with just a few paper pushers. But even if she managed to stall those Familia with her funny business, what good will it do in the end? Boss, bad news! Out with it. It's Lapland. She suddenly showed up at the estate and started chopping up our boys. She's making her way to you. Stop her. You got it. Lapland, you sure have gotten good at killing. Back in the day, you would have taken a lot longer and picked up a few more scars on your way here. You haven't changed at all. You don't even bat an eye at your own boys getting killed. What's the point in crying over some incompetent associates? What about an incompetent child? Oh, spiacciante. I almost forgot that for you, there's no basically difference between an associate and your own child. You know what I hate more than anything else, ragazza? Incompetent idiots who are also obedient. I've been waiting a long time for you, ever since you came back home. Waiting for you to bare your fangs at me. And now the time has finally come. Tell me, figlia mia, all these years, what is it that has made you like this? What made you disobey me, rebel against me time and time again? Speak up so I can discipline you. That voice crack was on point. Upon hearing Alberto's words, Lapland cracks a smile. However, she lowers her weapon in her hands.
For the longest time, I've been thinking if I should try rapping you out.
Oh? Surely killing your own father isn't something that would give you a moment's hesitation.
It's not the act that I'm conflicted over, more the meaning of it.
Meaning? A woman like you cares to go searching for meaning in things.
Meaning is pretty important to me, like profit is to you. Padre mio, do you know why I care so much about Texas?
You've never explained it to me.
From the moment I was born, I grew up a part of this familia. You raised me with the most proper Siracusan education, and I met your expectations. As a Siracusan, I am second to none.
And here I thought you never acknowledged who you were, ragazza.
When do you think I managed to wiggle out of your control? Or I guess not from your control, but from Siracusa, from the familia, from our blood, from the control of our rules. I hated it, all of it, but in the end, I couldn't actually escape any of it. All those things are like the strings of a marionette over my head. No matter how much I rebelled, in the end, I'm still dancing in the palm of your hand. There's no way out.
Only you would look at Siracusa and see an inescapable swamp.
And everybody, including you, Padre, you're all scum, whether you realize it or not. Of course, I didn't realize it at that age. The old me thought she was crazy enough, rebellious enough. But looking back, I was just in denial. And you thought I'd grow out of it after a few years. Isn't that right?
That goes without saying. I was well aware of your rebelliousness, but I never understood where it came from.
From you being so totally convinced that your way of life and your actions were completely right. You never doubted for a second that I would eventually become you. And that's when she appeared. At first, it was because there was someone out there, in far-off Colombia, who was better than me. Jelenia, Texas, the granddaughter of Salvador. Cold, strong, honorable, and loyal. After popping back over here, she quickly became the most famous Siracusan among all the familia. Even though she was Colombian.
You're just as good as her.
Of course! But that's not the important part. The important part is she clearly was a Siracusan, thoroughly poisoned by the swamp of the city. But in the end, she chose to turn back on her blood, letting her entire familia get liquidated.
The blame for that rests only with Giuseppe. Where is Jelenia's sin in the righteous judgment of her kin?
Not like betrayal is particularly rare among wolves. But she chose to turn her back. She chose to get out. Can you imagine, Padre? That day, when I found out she wanted to leave Siracusa, to leave everything behind, I was so exhilarated!
You figure it was an act of rebellion, and a successful one.
She didn't succeed. I knew from the beginning that the land itself wasn't going to let her go.
So, why are you standing here in front of me again? For her?
For her? No, Padre mio, no. I'm here not because I learned anything in particular from her successes and failures, but because she taught me that the choice exists in the first place. I knew she would eventually return here, and I looked forward to seeing what she would do once she came back.
And she did absolutely nothing.
No, you don't understand. She made up her mind.
Jelenia, what do you think you're doing?
You don't need to know, and you're not going to.
You ran away from Colombia before, and from Siracusa. You ran away from it all. And now you have the stones to stand on this soil again. Isn't that kind of ridiculous?
This land isn't a lost cause, so I'm not running away anymore. Simple as that.
You stopped running, so you came back. But what about the people you left behind? Go tell that to them.
Blame it all on me. You decided you had to kill Giovanna, so you pinned the blame on me.
I'm not that shameless yet.
But you will pay for it all the same.
You're gonna have to die, Jelenia.
Don't worry, death is where I belong.
Damn you.
Now, it's my turn. This used to keep me up at night. But when I finally stood in front of you face to face, I realized this was never such a difficult thing in the first place. Turns out, it's not that I wanted to rebel against you or kill you. All I need to do is say goodbye to you, my dear father, to this familia, to this swamp. That's why I'm here.
You want to become an enemy to all of Siracusa.
No. Siracusa became my enemy. Goodbye forever, Padre.
Lapland gives her father a deep parting bow. A vague thought creeps across Alberto's mind. This is his best chance to be rid of this monster. That's right, monster. A monster he raised with his own two hands. She's by no means invincible, but it seems like nothing is capable of touching her. He is 100% sure that if he strikes now, he would be able to slay his daughter on the spot. She's by no means dauntless, yet she chose to throw away everything she had to throw away. He knows he could act now to rid himself of future headaches. But Padre. She is a monster, and yet one that he raised with his own two hands. If all she wanted was simple freedom, why would she still come to see him? Lone wolves eventually remember the pack to which they belonged, but after today, his daughter will no longer belong to any pack. Alberto lets out a heavy sigh. The next time I see you, I will kill you. My daughter. My pride. My traitor. Lapland smiles, but does not answer. She is no longer a lone wolf. Never again will Siracusa have a place for her. And never again will she need one.
The only thing left is you, Texas. Are you sure letting Jelenia go alone was the right call? Don't sweat it. She asked to go herself. She must have had a reason for it. You don't want to find out what the reason is? Let me give you a little tip. One of the prerequisites for being a good partner is to never ask your counterpart about stuff she doesn't want to share. You two have a great relationship. You betcha. What? What is it? You've got somebody coming up on you. He's moving really fast. Just one? Yeah, just one. Black hair, dressed like a really flamboyant mob boss, holding two pistol-shaped wands.
Just as considering this came up just now, as a quick little refresher for people who might be new and listening to this, guns in Arknights are essentially wands. Yes, they're magical wands. If you think like, why is a gun a wand? Well, the bullets are not gunpowder bullets, they are originium bullets. Or rather, the gunpowder inside is replaced with originium. And to fire off a gun, you actually need to, you know, have some adaptability to originium. Therefore, it's like a wand. If you cannot have any adaptability or use out of originium, or it can use anything with that, well, you can't fire off a gun, essentially. But with that said, there are gunpowder guns in this world. They're just super rare. Anyway, continuing.
Leon?
Lavinia, I knew it'd be you.
Leon Tutso, why did you come here?
I'm looking for you, but you cut all communication with the Familia, so I haven't been able to get through to you.
While I was looking around, I overheard wise guys from another Familia talking about how someone had blocked off some passages in the secondary core area, which didn't sound like something any of us would do. Which is why I came here. That's right, you were with Karachi so long, you must have known this was the best place to break through. But I have nothing more to say to you, Leon.
Wait, Lavinia. I'm here to...
Leon? Lavinia? And the court guys too? Alright, so you're the one who's been messing around with the secondary core area behind our backs. Leon, where the hell did you go after that meeting? Don't tell me you've been with her this whole time.
No, I meant looking for my father.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
Because when I was face to face with Alberto, when I heard the things that car wash worker had to say about me, I finally realized I've been wrong my entire life. That's why Demetri and Lavinia stand on opposite sides of the wide avenue. Leontuzzo takes a deep breath and finally walks over to Lavinia's side.
That's your answer, huh?
Correct. From now on, I am no longer Don Bellone.
Leon, you know what this means, don't you?
I do.
Do you? No matter how grand the Don's ideals were, he still chose to abandon his familia. And you, no matter how grand your ideals may be, you're gonna do the same. We're a familia, goddammit, Leontuzzo! Look at me in the eye and answer me. We grew up together. We've been through so much together. Does all of that mean nothing to you?
My father saw the Familia as nothing more than a match to light the fuse of a new era in Siracusa. He was wrong in his ways, but... Leontuzzo gradually raises his eyes and looks directly at Demetri. In the end, I'll stand against all Familia. Since it's bound to happen sooner or later, let's not drag out the suffering, Demetri. Just when everything is about to teeter over the edge, a chill engulfs everyone present.
You shall not live. You will accomplish nothing. Not even your bones will remain.
What is this?
There's a voice in my head.
Black fog congeals around the area. As the fog condenses, an impalable coercion gradually presses down on the heads, shoulders, and hearts gathered there. From this coercion, they feel a thread of kinship, as if its very existence is entangled with the blood in their veins. No, it is indeed an existence entangled with their blood. But that thread immediately snaps, leaving only bottomless fear behind. because within this coercion broils bottomless anger. In this moment, all reason is suppressed, as if a voice is screaming out to them. Bow down. Surrender. It's freezing cold. Those unable to bear the pressure fall one by one, until only Leontuzzo, Lavinia, and Dmitri remain standing. I remember this feeling. Leontuzzo turns his gaze towards the entity emerging from the coalesced fog.
Watch out, there's something off about that stuff.
Il Signore dei Lupi. Before the words leave his lips, a pack of wolves formed from the fog lunges at Leontuzzo and the others. And that is where we go into our battle stage. So, let us go in, shall we? But before, obviously, we are fighting a big bad wolf. Zaro, Signore dei Lupi. Il Signore dei Lupi was born in the wilderness, but he has cast his gaze upon the world of men. His hubris is boundless, yet he falls short. His tricks exhausted, he has lost everything. Now someone must be made to bear his wrath. So then, this will be our team. As always, I mostly selected people who were part of the story so far, plus a couple of extras to keep shit in order. You'll see what I mean, considering a lot of these are level 1s. Even though these two are Elite 2, but these three aren't, and they are not gonna play much of a role in here. Anyway, as before, I will let the stage play, mute myself until certain parts. But when the big bad wolf appears, I will slow the game down to normal speed. So, let's begin.
心配しない。ここは通さへんで。ターゲット確認。すぐに終わらせる。ロックンロール。ここでは何も起きてない。
A quick interjection here. I do find it very fascinating that his second form in the second phase here is more akin to that of a werewolf than to an actual wolf, which is very interesting. Anyway, continuing. Alright, and that would be our stage. Alright, Roulette, who is gonna be on the splash page? Mwah, 2 for 2. 2 for 2. That's amazing. I think this is the first time that happened in all of the narrations that I did so far. Anyway, we shall continue with the after story for stage 10. Didn't the Signore dei Lupi agree not to meddle in the affairs of mortals?
I changed my mind. Bernardo ruined my plans. I spent 60 years grooming him. And now he's killed himself just to deny my victory.
What did you say? My father killed himself? His father's interpretation of the Signore dei Lupi and the game flashed through Leontuzza's mind. He suddenly understands that the words his father spoke to him in the church were a kind of approval for him. And his last words. His father had planned to take his own life all along.
The price for insulting the Signore dei Lupi is a heavy one. He may be dead, but it won't stop until his bloodline is ended. Son of Bernardo, you will pay for the sins of your father. The price is his bloodline and your life.
Price? Did you say price? My father may have been wrong, but his dream was always about bringing change to the times. He wanted a Siracusa without a familia and spent his entire life planning it. I thought his own family was a chip to him. I thought he acted when he did because it was the right time. But now I know. He decided he was out of time. This was his only choice to get revenge on you and achieve his dream.
He taught him everything he knew. He repaid me with betrayal.
You wouldn't understand. Signore dei Lupi on high, thinking everything under his control. To father, even his own life was just another chip. He was determined to make his dream come true, even if it meant paying the ultimate price. But you're the one who will pay.
Ignorant whelp!
Welcome back, Texas. Are you done over there?
Yeah. Time to clean up the trouble over here.
The last Texas. Do not forget who permitted you to break from Siracusa. How dare you defy me?
I kept my bargain with Bernardo. I owe you nothing.
Fool!
Bernardo killed himself? Why?
The
game is over, Lavinia.
So that's what you really meant? A Siracusa without the familia. A Siracusa without the familia. That was your true dream. Why didn't you tell me? Try to keep your head in the fight, Judgy. Lapland. Why didn't you tell me you were throwing a party, Texas? You would have come anyway. Yeah, you're right.
Get lost cub without a pack. There's a place for you here.
Let me tell you some good news, Signore De Lupi. Figlio De Lupi, whatever you are. Starting now, everything Siracusan is my enemy. Even supernatural beings like you.
Idiot.
What about you, boss? If you were here, looking me in the eye, would you tell me without a doubt that you chose your dreams like Leon? I mean, I don't know the answer anymore. Stay focused if you don't want to die.
You're...
The feeble fang of Agnes. Did you think you're so worthy to stand before me just because you caught a glimpse of the death of my fang?
I promised Bernardo that I'd help his skin.
Agnes has raised a feeble fang. It's time to put an end to her part of this game. You cannot destroy me, no matter what you do. You cannot even harm me. Humans build cities, trap themselves within, and think themselves the masters of the lands beneath them. Do not presume you have risen because you learned to use a few tools. You have never conquered the wastes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you stand in the presence of the Emperor, Lungman Superstar.
Boss?
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. Goddamn son of a bitch.
Let me take this chance to remind your vacations over South Texas.
Why are you here?
You're asking me? Zaro and the girls ran off after you. You know what that past month's been like for me? I ain't seen this board in 3,000 years. Interesting number to put on you, Emperor. I got nobody to party with.
Emperor.
Hold it, Zaro. You're gonna say I got no business in Siracusa. In my right to stick my flipper in here. Honestly, I don't give a shit. But if I think on it, I'm gonna pass on some dumbass fight with you. Beating you at your own game, that would make me happier. So...
Why is this fucking penguin so cool? Why is this fucking penguin so cool? Why is he so cool?
God damn.
Shadow after shadow emerges from beneath Emperor's feet and takes corporal form. Zaro knows them, of course. They are the Signori dei Lupi who have lost in this round. They are here for one reason. He broke the rules. They can accept how he played, but they will not permit the rules to be broken. Look, I brought the other Wolf Lords. They bored too. Let me give you the good news. You're a loser. In pretty much every way a man can be a loser. The Signori dei Lupi are immortal, but over the long years they have long learned how to contain, suppress, and even torment each other. Against so many beings of his kind, Zaro knows that resistance is futile. After a moment of silence, he lowers his proud head. Tell you the truth, Zaro? Your whole thing, the way you talk about power, the way you play with it, gives me the heebie-jeebies. The way you stew in your anger, looking to tear everything in your way to pieces. That's what shows you still true to your nature. But all you wolves, don't you get bored playing a dumbass game like this for thousands of years? You wanna come to Lungmen? I'll teach you to play poker. Or mahjong. Mahjong's even bad. Zaro ignores Emperor's jabs. He takes one last long look at Leon Tutso, then his silhouette becomes less and less distinct, until he fades away completely in the wind. It is as though he never existed.
Thanks, boss.
Don't thank me. Someone would have done something, even if it wasn't me. She just delegated the job. Didn't you, sexy? This motherfucker. Why is this penguin so cool? Anyway.
It's been a long time since anyone called me sexy. You're welcome to spend some time enjoying Siracusa if you like.
Just call me Emperor.
Interesting name. You're not arrogant or ignorant, like the Signori dei Lupi. Siracusa welcomes you, Emperor.
I think Siracusa is gonna like me. Signora Sicilia?
The games of the Signori dei Lupi are archaic and stupid. Leon Tutso, son of Bernardo. Rest assured, he'll never trouble you again.
Don Tutso cannot move an inch. He realizes that everything ended the moment the old woman appeared. Not just the game of the Signori dei Lupi, but their resistance as well. The old woman before him looks kind and cordial, but he knows that he will die in the most painful way possible if he makes one wrong move. He also knows, however, that to back down now is to see all of his effort, all that he believes in, fade into dream. He looks over at Lavinia and sees the same thought in her eyes.
Pardon me, Signora Sicilia. I didn't expect to have the honor of your presence in this way. You may already know what happened. You may already have made your decision. But I hope you'll give me and Lavinia a chance. A chance? What kind of chance? A chance to talk. Even if we are doomed to die, I hope you'll grant us an audience before that happens. Agonir always says I should listen to the youth more. I think he overestimates his age. Come with me, children. You have earned the chance. May I have a moment first? I would like to take one last look at Bernardo. Alright. Exia, Texas. You okay? You're fine. Yeah. What are you doing here? I was too worried. Giovanna's stable now, so I brought Croissant. Looks like everything's more or less hunky-dory over here, though. I guess so. Phew. It still feels like something's missing, but I guess we can throw our party now. Yeah. You guys decide what kind of party you want. Where are you going, Texas? Toilet. Toilet isn't that way. I know. Feel a weight off your shoulders? Like you just lost? Like you just got over a hill? There's still big trouble waiting right there. Shall we go? We'll go. By the way, Texas, I got a letter from Signora Sicilia before you went back to Siracusa. Cool. Guess what it said? No thanks. Aw, you're no fun. Signora Sicilia invited me to join the Bocca al Lupo. Bocca al Lupo. Basically become one of her wolves. So I burned the letter. I figured it was gonna get some Siracusans giving me trouble for a while. Then you went back to Siracusa all of a sudden. Do you have any idea how surprised I was when I realized you were gone? So you've made up your mind? Yes. I'll stay and help Lavinia and Leon Tutso. What about you? I've made up my mind too. I heard you made a hell of a scene with your own familia. I just went to say goodbye to my father. Texas, do you really not get what I see in you? Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes I think I don't. All I know is that you seem to have gotten over something. Oh, are you showing concern for me? I just think you're kind of annoying.
The pair were walking side by side, but now they had to opposite ends of the clearing, as if by some silent agreement.
At the end of the day, we have to do this. I guess so. Do you remember? 7 years ago, you came to me in front of the burning mansion, looking to get away from it all. I got hell for it that day. 7 years later, you came to me again in a rainy park to issue a silly challenge to Siracusa. I'll kill you today. That's my line.
The sound of weapons clashing fills the park. No tricks, no fooling around, every attack is intended to kill.
You could call me your past, Texas. I believed that no one could escape the swamp. You escaped your past once and made up your mind to cut all ties with it after returning to Siracusa. You proved to everyone that you had what it took to escape the swamp. You're staying here of your own accord to help that young cop change the place. You're giving me too much credit. My dream has always been to live a simple life with a few good friends. I'll defend it if someone threatens to destroy it. There's nothing complicated about it. I never truly knew you, Chelinia. I didn't realize how Siracusa exhausted you or how you resented Columbia. Now that I think about it, I was like my grandma. She spent her entire life hoping that old Salvador would change his mind. But she never even asked, never tried to fight for it. The same for me. I assumed the good times would last forever. I was so proud and arrogant. You wouldn't mind me staying with you, and I would love to chat some more with Sora. But I don't deserve that, not yet. And so, let me close the curtains on Act 3 of La Morte de Texas, on Chelinia, Texas' story. You're free, Chelinia. No one defines you. So, let me put it in a different way. You're my nightmare, Texas. You always surprise me. You're always a step ahead of me. You made all the decisions that I couldn't. And now I can finally say this after finally taking that step, like you did. You're right. There's nothing complicated about it. If I hated everything about Siracusa so much, I should have destroyed it. In the end, you're the one who made me take the step. That's why you said goodbye to your father and why you're standing here in front of me. You want to settle things with your past. Yes, just like you. We didn't have to go at each other's throats like this. But it happened. We each decided on our own that to kill each other is the way to settle things. The best way to say our goodbyes. The one who survives will become stronger.
Now that Lapland has become stronger than Texas, or that Texas has become weak. Just like how Lapland did not lose to Texas 7 years ago because she was weaker. They were evenly matched from the beginning. What determines the outcome is Lady Luck, perhaps, or more importantly, strength of will. 7 years ago, Lapland lost the Battle of Wills. But now, having said goodbye to the Familia, her will is no weaker than Texas's. Either may win, and either may lose.
It's over. Texas! Stay back.
Texas takes one look at Sora, then closes her eyes. Lapland thought she knew Texas well enough. What did she not know? She bore witness to Texas's exhaustion with Siracusa and her decision to declare war on the country. Texas's decision surprised her each time. But this time she thought it would not be so. One lives, the other dies. There would be no other end. But as she saw the unwillingness to let go in Texas's eyes, she once again realized that she was wrong. At the very end, in the ending that Lapland wrote for herself, Texas has surprised her once again.
Alright.
Lapland sees this battle as a farewell, a liberation. Lose and she will accept her death. Win and she will be able to let it all go. When the pin by the name of Texas is pulled from the consciousness, a lunatic by the name of Lapland would be born. But it never happened. Because...
Texas? So you were just Texas after all? Of course I'm just Texas. What about you? Looks like I'm just Lapland.
Lapland extends a hand to Texas. Texas takes the hand.
Texas, am I your friend or your enemy? You're my friend and my enemy. Then go. Let me do what a friend should.
Texas nods to the others and walks towards Grey Hall. It is all so natural, as though it was always the way things should be. When Lavinia walks into the church and sees the body sitting silently on the pew, she finally accepts the truth. Bernardo is dead. She sits by the man who was both father and brother, the man who had such an impact on her life, and stays silent. In the end, she says nothing. But she holds Bernardo's lifeless hand as though communicating something or getting something from him. Then she turns and leaves. The dead are dead and gone. She must move on.
I heard my friends talking about what you did. Let me ask you one thing, child. All the nations across these lands are seeking change, trying to move with the times. But that impetus for change is an awareness of inadequacy, or a search for breakthrough. Does Siracusa need that? Does Siracusa really need to change?
Do you think that the Familia is something that must exist?
Nothing is, but it existed for centuries before I was born. We can't deny our history, or so easily destroy what already exists, can we?
That's why you chose to continue the Familia system and you established Grey Hall, except now all the Familia have to operate under your control. I don't intend to deny it. In fact, I think it was the correct decision in its time.
But things are different now?
Correct. The return of the Colombian Familia brought advanced technology and philosophy. The Colombians are exerting an increasing influence on Familia-style rule, but many haven't realized it. Some of what my father did was overly radical. Our motivations are different, and so are our means. But one thing is the same. We both believe that Siracusa doesn't need the Familia anymore.
What are you planning to do then?
The simplest thing would be to kill you here or die trying. But that's the choice my father would have made. As for me, I would like to borrow a city.
An interesting proposal. A new city needs new blood. But you are on your own, child. How am I supposed to believe that you can reach your goal?
The doors of Grey Hall are pushed open before Signora Sicilia finished her sentence.
Jelinia, the last Texas? Come here and let me get a good look at you. I see your grandfather in you. Thank you. Looks like Giovanna has given you the necklace that I gave her. What is it you want? If you want to go back to Lungmen, I guarantee that Siracusa will never disturb you again. I want to ask you to spare Familia Rosati. Oh, that's a surprise. Valak assassinated Giovanna and tried to kill you many times. Do you really want to spare him? They're only trying to survive in their own way. You can keep the necklace. I never intended to do anything to them. Or you can trade it for the right to leave Siracusa forever.
Texas sits down by Lone Tutsa's side.
Don't need that. I'm extending my vacation. What about you, Lapland? Lone Wolf salutes us, traitor.
Lapland walks to Texas's side with a jesting smirk on her face.
I got a simple dream. I wanna destroy Siracusa just like them. The difference is that I'm not as civilized. And you, Judge Lavinia, instrument of my will?
Lavinia stands behind Leon Tutsa.
Your will was once Siracusa's itself. But now I'm going to change it. You believe that I'm wrong? I believe that no one can be right forever.
God, look at this picture. My God. Signora Sicilia casts her gaze at the four young people before her. One who came from the strongest familia in Siracusa, whose upbringing made him long for a civilized future. Denied by his position, he chose to bury his head in the sand. One who came from modest beginnings, who earned the favor of the familia. It filled her with doubt about herself, and so she chose to deceive herself. One who came from the oldest familia in Siracusa, who hated everything that it asked of her. It drove her to a rebellion, down a path of madness. One who came from the strongest familia in Colombia, who became exhausted with the existence of the familia itself. She chose to run away in silence. They want to change Siracusa for different reasons, but they all came together in the end.
I won't live forever, but I have a few decades left. Until the moment that my eyes close forever, Siracusa will continue to enjoy the peace that I bring. What about you, child? You stand on your father's shoulders seeking to make the system better and fairer. Do you think you chose the correct path? If I gave you Siracusa, could you guarantee that she would walk a better path and become a better country?
I can't guarantee that. But just as you're willing to listen to me here today, if someone else comes along looking to change my ways, I'm willing to sit down and hear him out. Signora Sicilia smiles. God, what a picture.
You see, I don't hear any fighting. They're fine. You're the only one who could be so at ease like this. That's the head of state there, you know?
Sorry for making you worry.
It's fine. Huh? Where's Lapland?
Texas casts her gaze in a certain direction.
She's fulfilled her duty as a friend. Who knows what form she'll take when she shows herself next time? The only thing I can be sure is this. We haven't seen the last of her.
Now I want to point out how this sentence is on the nose here. She's fulfilled her duty as a friend. Who knows what form she'll take when she shows herself next time. More on that in a bit.
My head hurts just thinking about it. Never mind. Let's see how Giovanna's doing. Yeah. Giovanna, we're back.
The room is empty. Sora's joy quickly turns to confusion. Then she sees a stack of paper on the desk. It is a script. Sora flips over the first page. Dedicated to my dear old friend, Gelinia. And my new friends, Penguin Logistics.
The part that Giovanna was struggling with in Act 3 of La Morte di Texas. Is this what you left for us? We didn't have to leave.
Alright. But now, before we continue on to the final epilogue scene, there is a ton of these. So, let's begin in the order they are in, with Texas. And let me just double check on the file. Yeah, Horace is literally here. And it says, looks like Emperor wants to talk. At the Bolsini Municipal Center. Texas. When do you reckon you'll be back in Lungmen? I've already started thinking about hanging a big old banner up on our signboard. Declare full-on bankruptcy.
There are still a few things I need to...
Stop. Hold it right there. If you got nothing fresh or original to say, just keep your trap shut. How about a bet? Simple one. Loser listens to the winner. See this strawberry soda I bought on a whim? Ooh-wee, stuff's too damn sweet. But it's got a fair bottle cap. So heads or tails? And yes, you can choose between heads or tails. I went with heads. Oh, not how bad. But whoever said that victory goes to the luckier guesser. Plus, take a look at over there. Everything's going to shit. Aren't you planning to head over and help him out? Scattered mafiosi continue to roam the streets, turning their sights onto the civilians now that they have lost their target.
The civilians are as much in the dark as the wise guys about what just happened. But we've decided that the Familia won't be allowed in the new city. In that case, it's up to me or Leontuzzo and Lavinia to tell them what we're about to do. I'll start with the simplest thing.
Alright, you do what makes you happy. But oh damn, it's boring as hell in Lungmen all by my lonesome. Continuing at the municipal center. Oh, pardon. That was pretty much it. That's all there is. The other one was the battle stage that comes here. So, we go to our next target, which is obviously Lavinia. Hers is also on the final part here. Time to move. The young man seems to have something to say to me. At the municipal center.
Are you Signorina Lavinia? I am. And you are?
I'm your underclassman. I heard the speech you gave at school and actually I didn't take you seriously at the time.
I just thought it was another woman coming by to talk a big game. But with everything going on lately, I've been looking into some things myself, and the court bailiffs told me everything you did. Now I believe what said in that speech came from your heart. I appreciate you going out of your way to tell me that.
No, I'm the one who should be thanking you. I've already figured out what I'm supposed to do next. Pardon? Continuing at the secondary core area control tower. Are you busy moving right now?
Yes, I'll be living in the new city.
Let me help you then. Before that, there's something I wanted to give you. He takes out a neatly written resume. My CV. I've decided that after I graduate, I want to work with you. Working hard for the sake of the new city that you talked about was the reason I went to law school in the first place. And those flowers. He looks at the bouquet of withered flowers among her luggage. On it is a tag with words of thanks written by a citizen. Lavinia, I'm going to get flowers from the people, just like you. Once you have, I'll accept your application. How does that sound? Though I do want to reiterate, are you sure about this? If you decide to work with me, it will be a lot more difficult than if you decide to stay in Volsini. I can't even say for sure what it is I should be doing next. This is not an easy path to thread. I know, I've already made up my mind. I'm very glad to hear that. All your stuff is packed. Are you ready to leave? Yes, actually before that, I need to go mourn someone's passing. Oh, I guess I'll leave you to it then. Actually, I'd like you to come with me. He's not just an old friend. You could say that he was an old friend to this entire city. I'm sure you can already guess who I'm talking about. The new Ministero dei Lavori Pubblici who died during his inaugural speech. When he left us, there was still so much uncertainty in the air, but now that things are winding down, I should go and see him again. That gentleman, why did he... He made up his mind. To some people, there is something worth paying the ultimate price for, let alone a future so distant and uncertain. But I've been thinking, the greater the turmoil, the more worthwhile the determination. He may have been alone when he left us, but he is not the only man to walk that path. I'm sure he'll be glad to see you when we get there. But at the same time, it still upsets me. I'm upset with myself. If the awakening of a new group can't be inspired without the lives of those who led the way, I myself must not have been conscious enough. I used to resent Leon. He didn't even notice the corpses along the streets until they personally affected him as part of the Ministero dei Lavori Pubblici. But how am I any different? I didn't wake up until a man I respected paid the ultimate price. I wouldn't say that, Lavinia. Even now, many people are still reluctant to take that step. After all, I'm the only man who came today. There are still many more watching and waiting, and I can only say from my own position that I made the right decision. But who knows how things will look in a decade or a century. Maybe we'll be hailed as heroes, maybe we'll be mocked. More likely, we won't be remembered at all. Everyone wants to live with the present. Of course, there is nothing wrong with that. But Lavinia, there is one last thing I want to say. The young man suddenly turns serious. Leon Tuzzo Bellone, I still can't trust a wise guy like him, even when he says he's given up his familia. After all, the two of us come from completely different walks of life. If anything ever comes up, I'll stand on your side. What? Received understudies resume. From this neatly written resume, one can already tell that its owner is serious and attentive. Its very existence is a form of hope. Alright, and that is all of Lavinia's stuff. Moving on to Leon Tuzzo. He's beginning here. The funeral's over. I met a few residents who happened to pass by at the Volsini Municipal Center. Move, that's Don Bellone's son. Don't stare, I think he just got out of the funeral. Several residents bow their heads and quickly shuffle away. Wait, oh, hold on. Sorry, we didn't see anything, we'll be on our way. Relax. Familia Bellone is gone, I'm just a guy now. Continuing again at the municipal center. Sure, sorry, but we'd better get going. We didn't see anything at all, promise. Leon Tuzzo opens his mouth, but can't get out the words he wanted to say. He comes to a realization. I don't think my father's vision will come to pass, because even when the commoners are freed from the Familia, they've never known anything else. They don't know how to move on. Siracusa will end up the same as she ever was. And so, I have to make them realize, and then accept, my vision, a city without Familia. Otherwise, Nuova Volsini ends up under my thumb,
as the new dawn of Familia Bellone, it'd be just another extension of the Familia's power. They don't understand the magnitude of the changes we're trying to make.
Again at the municipal center?
Anyway, goodbye now.
The park has fallen still and silent. Only a few residents are enjoying their leisure time in the distance. As they come and go, Leontuzzo sees a figure he recognizes. He subconsciously loses his breath for a moment. He still remembers their conversation in Grey Hall. Signora Sicilia? He sits up straight, but the figure has already disappeared. Had Signora Sicilia really come, he knows that even if he were to meet with her, she would offer him nothing more than condolences. But he knows what everyone is striving towards, and he knows what he should do. A trial for him, a trial for all to see. And the final part? I should ask Lavinia what she thinks. At the Bellone estate?
You're back.
Lavinia, I've been thinking, there is no way for us to realize our dream with just the few of us going about our business.
We need to do something to show the people who lived through all this what we will build, that we will build a new city and a new Siracusa. We can't let our dream be so detached from the common people. We can't leave it a faraway hope. That's the only way we'll see our ideals come to life.
And that is all of the Leontuzzo parts. Next is Lapland. Just quickly checking. Right, hers is literally the last part here. Capone seems to have something to say. At the municipal center again. After leaving Grey Hall, Lapland would not be seen again. Just as she is about to leave Volsini, she remembers some unfinished business. And so she turns back once more.
I just can't bear to part with you guys, huh?
Gambino waves his hand and turns to leave without saying anything. Capone stands there motionless, and after a long time finally takes a step forward.
You're still playing around, holding a knife at my neck like that?
What are you doing here? I thought you left.
Gambino's gone?
Yeah, he said he was gonna work his way up some Familia. Before you say anything, let me tell you this. Capone looks at the woman in front of him vacantly, unsure of what might happen to him when he finishes his words. Just like you said, I ain't gonna find no answer from you, no way forward. I'm leaving too.
Oh.
Oh? That's it.
Addio, Capone.
At the Chitanoa Main Street, Capone is a little nervous. He does not know what Lapland plans to do. Based on his past experiences, he assumes that he might fall to a single swing of her sword, or he might suffer from ridicule or anger from the woman in front of him. But today he simply strides forward with brisk steps, heading in the direction of the new city, step by step. He starts to envy Gambino, who left one step sooner. Where are you going?
I'll see you off.
I'm not following you anymore. Lapland, Gambino and me decided we got nothing to do with you anymore. You keep going your old way. I got other places to be.
Okay. I didn't say anything, did I?
Capone grips the knife hidden in his sleeves.
I just can't give you my blessings. You're running away too. I guess I could say you're rebelling against me. Even if you decide to keep getting pushed around in the streets of Siracusa, well, that's not so bad, is it? So, put the knife away. I just came to say goodbye.
He continues to clutch the blade in his hand.
Still don't get it, little buddy? I'm not here to laugh at what you're doing, and I'm not angry at all. You're just following your path. Arrivederci.
Capone remains silent for a long time. Finally, he turns and leaves. Lapland turns once more, walking in the opposite direction of Volsini, toward the wilderness. A black mist condenses behind her. And that are all the Lapland parts. Alright, continuing with Giovanna. Just quickly double checking. Yep, just the final part here. I think I'll go people watching to get some inspiration for my next script. At the Volsini Municipal Center. I think today's show was pretty good, but it doesn't hold a candle to Signora Caterina's work. The playwright's got some ideas, but they're kind of shallow sometimes. I get the impression the playwright thinks the new city is still controlled by you-know-who. You really think it isn't? Of course it's not. Hear me out. A blonde-haired feline quietly sits on a bench by the street. She appears somewhat pale and haggard, the pen in her hand rustling as it rubs against the paper. A faint smile appears on her lips amidst the hum of the conversation.
So, do the two of you know what happens after the end?
I'm sure that one guy, yeah, he figured out his issues and used the new city to give himself a way out.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
They hear her sighing softly to herself and see the pen in her hand. With some reluctance, they approach to ask her who she is.
Who? Me? I'm just gathering some inspiration for my script. I hope I can become a professional playwright someday.
Received new inspiration. As long as events continue to unfold, the playwright will not put her pen down. She also eagerly anticipates what manner of work she will create next. Continuing at the Chitanoa Main Street.
Oh, trying to find a half-decent room in the city is kind of a pain in the ass. Looks like the old familiar ways of doing things really don't hold any water here. Not too shabby.
Giovanna draws back the curtains and sunlight filters through the windows, illuminating the specks of dust floating through the air. It is a clear sunny day now that the rainy season has passed. She looks outside at the buildings gleaming in the sun and the newly moved in inhabitants scrambling about. At the bustling street filled with pedestrians in a hurry.
Then I think I'll call this one I Siracusani.
Very interesting title for your new play. Anyway, that is all of Giovanna's parts. Moving on to the parts for Sora. Let's see, I think hers started here at Now that the dust has settled. I'd like to invite everyone to watch the performance of Act 3. And yes, there is a 2 missing there. At the Volsini Municipal Center.
Texas, I knew you'd come. Here, this is the last showing of our performance. And by the way, this is a friends and family ticket. Only the leads get them.
Hands over the ticket.
Best seats in the house. Is it tomorrow? Yep.
Continuing at the Rosati estate.
Just as I thought, everybody's gone. Guess I'll leave it over here. If she comes back, she'll see the ticket I left her.
Putting away the ticket.
I'll put on the best show I can, Giovanna. As an actor and as your friend. We'll see each other again, won't we?
Continuing in the next section, the performance went perfectly. I want the others to know how happy I am. At Teatro di Milano. Sora sits backstage, flipping through the script in her hands.
She never actually existed. The people kept looking and looking, but in the end they found nothing. There is nobody behind the curtain. The figure given form through the people's ideas has finally disappeared. When Giovanna wrote the script to this point, she must have gone through the same thing I did, suddenly realizing she knew nothing about the real Texas. But she finally understood and decided to walk away. But if she actually came to one of my performances, she'd be able to tell that I actually tweaked the style and some of the lines. I figured it out too. When it came to friendship, the last thing you need is to ask yourself if you're worthy of being someone's friend. When will I see her again?
Continuing at Teatro di Milano. The curtain call comes, and the audience bursts into applause. Sora steps onto the stage once more, standing among her fellow actors and looking down. the audience is still discussing the grand finale, with some excited viewers even shouting or asking questions. So, the last Texas doesn't really exist. Nobody responds to him. His voice is drowned out in the sea of discussion, but Sora does give him an answer in her heart.
Does Texas exist? The last Texas of a certain family? The Texas that was helpless in the face of Siracusa? The Texas that was nothing more than an illusion in the end? Of course she doesn't exist.
Sora looks toward the audience, and through the dazzling glow of the stage lights, she sees a familiar black-haired figure sitting below. She thinks, of course, no such Texas like that could exist. The only Texas who exists is the one who loves chocolate bars, falls asleep listening to her music, and will forever be her best friend. This Texas, in fact, is sitting in the audience at this very moment. She is applauding, smiling gently at the girl, bowing for the curtain call. Exia and Croissant are sitting next to Texas, the two of them standing excitedly to wave at her. Sora thinks to herself, this whole trip was so worthwhile. And finally outside Teatro Milano.
You're squeezing me too tight, Exia. You're going to squish my hair ornament. I still have to return it. Whoa, are you actually Sora? Your acting was so good. It was unreal. Of course I am.
Sora looks out at the audience as they start to filter out of the theater one by one.
Are you looking for someone? Giovanna. I guess she didn't come after all. Once she's sorted through her thoughts, maybe she'll come and find us again. Yeah. I included a note with Penguin Logistics' address in the envelope I put the ticket in. If she sees it, I'm sure we'll get to meet her in Lungmen someday. And until that day comes, we first have to party hard.
Of course you do. Alright. Continuing and ending this section with Demetri. And his is only this last section here. Looks like the newbie has something to say. At Ivosini Municipal Center. Boss, we've made our preparations. Leontuzza will go to the new city today, their new residence. If we want our revenge, this is the best chance to rub him out while he's on the way there. Demetri holds a dagger in his hand. Caress the dagger. It was a present he received from Leontuzzo on one of his birthdays.
You're welcome to give it a try, but you'll figure out that there's no point now. He has Signora Sicilia's permission, and Texas stands at his side. The only thing that awaits you is death. Even if you succeed, Leontuzzo will see it as nothing more than the last gasp of a despicable foe, a death that holds no meaning to anybody.
Then, what should we...
I want to take revenge for Leontuzzo Bellona's betrayal of the Familia. What I don't want is a violent personal vendetta. If he has to die, he should die after seeing what we accomplished. Of course, I won't go out of my way to stop you either. After all, death is just a consequence of an action. For each and every one of us, a betrayal is a betrayal.
I understand. The mafioso shuts the door behind him, and the room falls quiet again. Demetri closes the drawer, collapses onto the sofa, and lets out a deep sigh. His hatred is undeniable, and his past only makes him more angry. He tells himself to bear with it. He closes his eyes.
Leon, it's gotta be me. I'm the one who's gotta do it.
And that ends all of our solo sections. So now we will move on to the final cutscene of this whole thing, the epilogue of the story, before we move to the other epilogue in Leontuzzo's operator record. But let's begin here. Sue together. The clash between civilization and savagery never ends. Let me say this. This is the moment where I screamed. I was like, what the? But it makes sense. It will make even more sense in a bit. But I'll also say this. For these narrations, I usually have a document on the side. In the document, I note stuff down for each part individually. From characters to words, like here, that I need to figure out how to say. If they're, especially when they're in a different language. When it comes to the character list, usually it's just the names listed out in two different groups. But this time around, while I kept to the two different groups, at the end of this group, in all caps, 3 exclamation marks, Ludmilla! Sorry, I had to just like, what the? But yeah, people probably forgot, but yes, she does have ties to Siracusa. And we haven't seen her in a long ass time. Anyway.
My tail's all wet. Nothing's changed at all. Neither these filthy streets, nor this damned rain. Don't know what it is, but even though the snow and horses can kill people, the rain here is somehow more unpleasant. Hope there's a hairdryer at my master's place.
Her master's house is located at the end of this alley. Years ago, Crownslayer stormed off in a rage to prove that she was strong enough to take revenge on the conspiracies looming over her. Now Ludmilla has returned once more. Whether or not her efforts have poked a hole through that gloomy sky, she cannot yet say. Possibly nothing at all has changed. Possibly she has become an accomplice to an even greater calamity. But luckily, Ludmilla is still able to return to this place. She thinks to herself, surely her teacher will be able to tell her what to do next. At that moment, she suddenly feels a chill. At first, Ludmilla assumes it is because she is nervous about facing her teacher again. But just as quickly, she realizes that she was wrong. She starts to shake uncontrollably on the spot. Maestro! Two fangs have returned to Siracusa. The thick, inescapable stench of blood. Her teacher lies face up on the ground, fresh blood still flowing outward and spreading. A small knife has been dropped nearby. Ludmilla tries to approach and stifle her teacher's still bleeding wound, but she finds herself unable to move a single step, unable to even tear away her gaze. From the shadows wafts an aura that is both familiar and terrifying to her. A wolf with grey hair, wearing a red hoodie. A fang that is from Rhode Island.
The true wolf is dead, and did as grandmother asked. It's you. What? What have you done? I am a wolf hunter. I do as grandmother asks. The true wolf is dead. The true wolf did not fight.
Katsu! I'll kill you!
I promised Katsu to only kill wolves. You are not a wolf. Was she your Katsu? That's why you smell of wolf. You know she couldn't fight anymore, so why? Grandmother said, these are the rules of the game. And now she's out. I have to go. There are other wolves here. I have to find them.
Project Red sniffs the air.
But another wolf is out of the game. Is someone faster than me?
Don't you dare leave! The wolf in the red hoodie does not respond to Ludmilla's cries. She hums a fragmented ditty, fitting past Ludmilla with brisk steps. Ludmila's outstretched hand grasps only thin air. She suddenly remembers what her teacher once told her. Ludmila, do you know what it means to be my student? I'm become decrepit and weak now. Are you still willing to be my student and my tool? We will both regret it, ragazza. Ludmila falls to her knees.
Drink deep of the suffering of the deceased.
Good lord. I do not want to be in the shoes of that woman. For everything that has happened to her up until now, prior to returning to her master, and now finding even her master dead and gone. Oh my god. I don't even wanna. An excited audience member. A performance worthy of Signora Caterina, well worth the wait. So we finally know that Celinia, the ideal Siracusan, was just a fantasy concoction by the collective Siracusan consciousness. But because she was so well known by the public as a symbol of perfection, her existence was reasonable enough to explain away through the common imagination. I was blown away by the big reveal at the end. She never existed at all. What a profound conclusion. After the incident with the broadcast a while ago, and everything that followed over the next 12 hours, I thought that was going to be the end of Volsini. But despite all that, here we are enjoying such a fantastic production. Così è la vita. I hope I'm... Così è la vita? Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. Such is life. You can say that again. Phew, I thought the sky was going to fall. Who would have ever expected things to unfold like that? So, are you planning to move over to the new city? Depends. What if Signora Caterina's plays are still available over in the new city? I could see myself heading over. A city without familia, huh? Growing up, I never have even dreamt to imagine a future like that. Now that you mention it. Did you know that Signora Caterina is working on something completely new? A new production? That's right, the title of it alone is enough to get my blood pumping. It's called I Siracusani. A shovel digs into the dirt. Then again. Leon Tuzzo is struggling to dig a grave in the cemetery. Next to him is a coffin in which his father Bernardo sleeps. Today is the funeral of Bernardo, the former Don of Familia Bellone. A funeral for one of the Dodici Dons should have seen the entire cemetery packed to the fences. But not a single soul will mourn the passing of a man who betrayed his familia, his city, and his society. Leon Tuzzo has asked Lavinia and the others not to come. This is his last farewell to his father. Padre mio, how would you be seen by future generations? As a man who ushered in a new era, or as a man who betrayed the old one? I guess it all depends on how well I do. You've passed one hell of a weight onto my shoulders. But I guess that means I'm a worthy son, and that I'm a sucker here to clean up your mess. Don Tuzzo continues to chat animatedly as if his father is still alive with him as he digs. But other than that, he does not know what else to say. Oh, right. Signora Sicilia agreed to my request. There will be no familia in the new nomadic city. I guess a part of your dream did come true. After talking with Signora Sicilia, I think I finally understand her a bit better. Seems like she wouldn't mind taking Siracusa with her to the grave. It doesn't bother her at all that Siracusa can only enjoy a semblance of peace while she is alive, because for her, Siracusa doesn't need a future. How should I put this? Signora Sicilia is more like a caretaker of a bygone era than an actual ruler. The reason she was willing to give me a chance was just because she decided it was worth a try. Nothing more, nothing less. What a terrifying being. I thought I'd be here all day digging your grave, but it turns out it wasn't so hard. Enough space has been made in the ground to accommodate the coffin. The last thing that remains is to lower it in. Leontuzzo walks to the front of the coffin, hesitates for a moment, but finally reaches out his hands. The coffin is extremely heavy, and pushing it is a very demanding task. Just as his strength is about to waver, he is suddenly joined by a pair of helping hands. Leontuzzo turns his head and sees Demetri right next to him. Demetri, you... Demetri says nothing, simply taking an object that shines with a silvery light out of his coat and tossing it into the grave. It's a pocket watch. The Don, he gave it to me. And now I guess it's been returned to its original owner. You've already apologized to me, Leontuzzo. But even if I can forgive you, our fratelli who died in that conflict could never forgive you. Even if Familia Bellona is gone, I won't forget them. I hear you plan to organize a new Familia. Most of the guys who survived left already, but some stayed behind, and they need a place to go. Even for you, that's one ass backwards Familia. That's how it should be. You're walking down a thorny path. I know. And eventually I will stand in your way. I know. So, don't go dying on me. The rain continues to come down hard, but Leontuzzo can still faintly hear a soft Leon at the end of the last sentence. Same to you, Demetri. He lifts his head and lets the raindrops strike his face. You won't be needing most of this furniture anymore, right? Guess not. Familia Bellona is no more. Most of the old associates have already left. After all, it's not an easy thing to stomach getting betrayed by your own Don. Bernardo, who practically stood on the highest pinnacle of a Familia's rule, has repudiated the very existence of Familia. He also repudiated many things once seen as priceless. Honor, trust, loyalty, dedication to the Familia. Did my father teach each and every wise guy those rules without ever believing in them himself? I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about it the last few days. Did I ever know the real Bernardo Bellone? The artistic director of Campagna dell'Abla was one mask he wore. The cunning Don Bellone was another. Then, is it not possible that the smiling, bright-eyed Bernardo who once shared his ideas with me was just another mask? But it doesn't matter. Not anymore. Leon, the two of you, together, gave a chance for that new city to truly be born. I guess so. The movers will be here soon. Alright. None of this has been in vain, Leon. I know. In the new city area, or I guess it's a proper city now, we'll build something new. Something brand new, that Siracusa has never seen before. An order that belongs to everyone. Leontuzzo looks at Lavinia, his eyes shining with determination. Civilization. Each wolf, from its moment of birth, knows that its existence is a symbol of the wastelands. After countless eras and countless conflicts, they finally selected the Alpha Wolf through the rules of the game as it had been played up to that point. For Zaro, his defeat this round was undoubtedly a disgrace. But they will continue to live on. As long as there is another round of the game to be played, he will stage his comeback in time. To this end, he has already started searching for suitable candidates. And almost immediately, he found Lapland, wandering the wastes after having left Wolsini. However...
Are you done napping yet? Zaro?
Zaro and Lapland have been fighting in the wastes for the past 3 months. During that time, Zaro had countless opportunities to sink his fangs into the neck of this madwoman. There was no way for her to defeat him, but he gradually comes to realize it is actually he who has no way of defeating her. No thought can be nourished in her blood and sinew, no victory can be proclaimed in her head, and no meaning can be derived from her death. She is an empty husk that has been filled. Is she also the wastes? No, she is an overgrowth. He understands in an instant that if Bernardo's betrayal was an unexpected act of rationality, the being before him is completely beyond his comprehension. No, he has seen humans like her before. She is hardly unique. But at this unique point in time, she indeed is the only such one before him. An omen. A summon. And thus, for the first time in thousands of years, and perhaps the last time, the incarnation of the wastes lies down next to a human being. He chooses to surrender his dignity to the unknown.
Done fighting?
Our battle will continue for thousands upon thousands of years. Until the victory is decided, I will walk with you.
Whatever you say.
Lapland's weapon slipped from her grasp. She has already lost consciousness. Before she falls, Zaro walks over and stops her body with his own, as if it is the most natural thing to do.
Nexus, you've chosen different paths to destroy Siracusa. I'm so looking forward to seeing you again.
She closes her eyes and falls into a deep slumber. The vast wilderness is completely devoid of anything else. For a brief moment, it seems as if all existence between heaven and earth is but one human and one wolf. Savagery. So, very quickly, before we go into the extra epilogue from Vigil aka Leon Tutso, Lapland altar incoming, and I'll say this as my prediction. 2 predictions for 2 characters from this story. Number 1, I think Giovanna will be a 5-star character in whatever comes next in this story when it continues eventually, or whatever it's gonna overlap with in the future. Might be an overlap with something, who knows? Who knows? Might be an overlap with something Laterano related, I don't know. Maybe a Lungman story again. But anyway, doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. What matters, I think, Giovanna will appear as a future Penguin Logistics employee, maybe. A temporary employee, who the fuck knows. She did like the girls, especially Sora. What she could be? Caster. I'll just go with caster for now. No idea what kind of caster, just caster. However, Lapland here, 100 bazillion billion million whatever percent an altar incoming. There is no denying that is not gonna happen at this point. And I believe she's gonna be a specialist, just like Texas altar is, just with the twist of not being not doing obviously the same thing as Texas, but maybe having the similar kind of thing like Phantom does, where he summons a copy of himself, but she will be summoning Mr. Signore De Lupi, because he is gonna stick with her, as he just said, for the foreseeable future. So, Anyway, we have an operator record to go into, so let's swap into this thing. Where are you, my boy? Whoa.
これまで通りで何よりだ。
Okay, boyo, come here.
おはよう。予定は決まっているか。
So, this, once again, is an operator record that is taking place some short while after the ending, and it is connected to what Leon Tutso was saying in one of the solo scenes that we just went over. So, titled Future Coming, Time Shall Judge Me. So let's begin. The courtroom sure is lively today. Today's trial will be open to the general public and broadcasted live. Far too many people will be joining in on the fun. Huh, this is the first time I've seen jurors... Jurors representing so many different familia arrive in such an orderly fashion. This almost seems more like a press conference than a trial. After all, the man on trial today is none other than Leon Tutso Bellone. Signora Sicilia gave the order that the familia are not to interfere with the new city, but didn't elaborate on her plans beyond that. Everybody's scratching their heads. Finally, the court representing Signora Sicilia will... Signora Sicilia's will is about to make its move, so of course it has everyone's undivided attention. But the woman abdicating the trial is that Judge Lavinia, and everybody knows she's tied up with the Bellones. There's no Bellones anymore. They're stricken from the books. What kind of connection could she have? If you ask me, she's taking the initiative to convince Leon Tutso, exactly because she wants to show everyone she's done with the Bellones. And besides, Signora Cecilia's made it pretty clear what she's up to here. She's gonna make an example of him. She's playing her cards well. Who knows? Anyways, since Bernardo was the mastermind behind everything, his son's obviously involved. Today's trial should give us the closure we're looking for. Fair enough. Look, the judge is here. Order in the court. Presumably many of you are perplexed about today's hearing. That is to be expected, because while you may know the man on trial today, you do not know the context of the case. I ask that you all remain patient. I trust that nobody has forgotten that day, 1 week ago. So much happened. Ministero Rubio's broadcast, and the ensuing chaos that engulfed the city. Many people died during the turmoil, and many others have their lives turned upside down. Fortunately, it was all eventually smoothed over. Many people know now that Bernardo Bellone, the man who instigated this chaos, lost his life to it as well. Yet his objectives, as well as his motives, remain mysterious. During that incident, another man played an important role. He is none other than Bernardo Bellone's son, Leon Tutso Bellone. Bring him forward. Order! Order! For some of you, this may be your first time seeing me. For others, you might have known me for a long time. But first, allow me to introduce myself. I am Leon Tutso Bellone, and I am just an ordinary civilian now. Ordinary civilian? Aren't you the heir of Familia Bellone? I was, but now I do not belong to any familia.
I know you all have many questions, and I will answer them one by one. First and foremost, however, I must explain what my father did and how it came to this. All of this most likely began with the death of Karachi, Ministero dei Lavori Pubblici.
Leontuzzo, standing at the center of the courtroom, under the watchful eyes of the entire crowd, shows no signs of nerves at all. He methodically lays out the backdrop to this entire incident, starting from the assassination. Some time ago,
The other familia seem to have already received the news about the ownership of the new city.
I know, the familia are not to interfere with the new city.
That she's willing to hold down the other familia is proof she wasn't lying when we talked. But as far as I know, she neither said who would manage the new nomadic city, nor did she explain her rationale.
That's how Grey Hall has always worked.
Signora Sicilia doesn't need to explain everything. Her orders are absolute. But we need her explanation. Right now, everything about the new city is shrouded in uncertainty, and we owe the people an explanation.
That's right, which also brings us to our first dilemma.
Everything happened so suddenly. Am I supposed to get up on stage and announce to everyone, hey, we're going to build a city without familia? That would only scare everyone away. If the only ones who end up there are you, me, Chelinia, and Rubio's followers, we've already failed at the very first step. I'm guessing Signora Sicilia wants to see how we handle this. Looks like you have something in mind.
I do. I want you to arrest me, Lavinia.
Come again?
My father's actions, no matter his motivations and intentions, put us in this mess. Someone must be held accountable in the eyes of the people.
But...
Besides, I'm doing the same thing, aren't I? The assassination of Karachi, the alliance with the Saluzos, the assassination of Donna Rosati, and finally, the separation of the secondary core area. Though some of these events were not secret, when people learned that Bernardo was the driving force behind them, a commotion still broke out in the courtroom. Leontuzzo lays out his father's plan as objectively as possible using the information he has. Finally, after an hour-long exposition, the story comes to an end.
I know that many of you are here on behalf of various familia, and I assume you've all heard a number of rumors. That one rumor is correct. Everything was my father's doing, and the reason why he did it was for a Siracusa without familia.
How is it possible that the Dawn of a Familia would want to tear down the entire system?
Good question. Even I, his own son, was shocked when I found out. This idea took root in my father's head decades ago, and it only just now bore fruit.
No, Tutso, drop the act already. Your father's dead, but you're still here. That's why you're trying to clear your name with all this nonsense.
After all, we know exactly who the new city belongs to. I can handle accusations from some familia associates or soldiers, if that makes you happy.
If he was the mastermind behind all this, then why did he end up dead? Il Signore dei Lupi. Leontuzzo almost blurts the words, but finally suppresses them within his heart. Because everything about that existence is utterly absurd.
My father believed that if familia should not exist, then he should be eliminated too. So after setting everything in motion, he chose to commit suicide.
Pretty damn good joke there, kid. You're telling me he was such a selfless saint? He really did all this for the common Siracusan?
The exact opposite, actually. My father was solipsist.
Too many.
If anything, everything he did was for the sake of the painting in his memory he called Siracusa, which is why he failed.
Alright, I get it now. Huh, no wonder. That's why Bernardo's dead, and you're still alive.
I don't know what kind of stunt you pulled, but you somehow stopped your papa, and then went to Signora Sicilia and took credit for it. That's how you got yourself the right to manage a new city, and now you're up here spinning a magical tale for us, trying to win some sympathy for yourself. Isn't that right, you patricide?
Leontuzzo lets out a deep sigh, but in the end looks away without refuting the accusation. Deep down, he cannot deny it.
Look at that! See that guilt in his face? I have a question. Even if we did believe all that garbage, Your Honor, what does it have to do with the trial? It's not like you want us passing judgment on a dead man and handing down a sentence for his crimes. Because Leontuzzo is not here as a witness to tell you about his father or opine about his actions. The case being here heard today concerns the ownership of the new city. Leontuzzo arbitrarily determined what is to come in this new city and in Siracusa as a whole. Leontuzzo, please explain to us why Signora Sicilia chose you. I was both my father's accomplice in everything that happened, as well as the one who stopped him. I became the latter after I learned the truth. I believed that my father was misguided, and that his actions would not bring a new era to Siracusa. Even if dragging all the Familia into a war would somehow see them erase each other in the end, it does not necessarily mean that the people would choose a new way of life. But beyond that, I saw a real opportunity in all this. So, at the end of everything, I went to Signora Sicilia and asked to borrow a city from Siracusa. A city without Familia.
Another joke! Why would Signora Sicilia ever agree to that?
Because it wasn't actually a request. It was a challenge to Siracusa. In Signora Sicilia's eyes, my father's methods violated her order, and she couldn't tolerate that. But the method I chose, though I don't want to put it this way, was something she found permissible. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here speaking to all of you.
Leontuzzo looks in a certain direction, to where a Sancta priest is standing. The blindfolded priest does not seem to be paying attention to the ongoing trial.
Alright, if what you say is true, then Signora Sicilia's order does make more sense. Or I guess this is the only explanation for why Signora Sicilia would have decided that. If this really is true, Leontuzzo, then everything you're doing today is just for show. Call this a trial, you might be standing here, this is all just announcing you as owner of a new city, isn't that right?
No, this city does not belong to me.
The new city will have everything you expect it to, with one exception, Familia.
You really think you can keep them out?
What a stupid question. It's just as if I asked you, has the boundary between Familia and ordinary civilians ever been respected? Familia are only willing to abide by Signora Sicilia's rule because she is strong enough to dominate them. And this gentleman's agreement among Familia only exists because they don't have what it takes to wipe each other out. Of course, you'll come to the city. I know that, obviously. But this time, you'll see what it is you've always underestimated. Of course, I will welcome any Familia looking to bring change as partners in the new city. I don't think there's any difference between a city without Familia and Siracusa without Familia. They're both crazy. Do you say that because it's unrealistic or because it's hard? Because it's unrealistic, of course. My father was definitely misguided, but I don't think either of these ideas is unrealistic. You're just too used to letting your eyes decide what is and is not realistic. The Familia are deeply ingrained into this land. You can't hope to uproot them. Nobody can. But Familia can be changed, and they can become more civilized. Even if they can't be wiped out, they should be changed into something else. And as long as that something else is what we want, then then that's fine too. And you really think you can make that work? I might fail, but don't you think it's worth a shot? The only thing you've won for yourself is a handout from Signora Sicilia.
The Familia system still exists, though it may appear shaky right now, it is by no means so easy to topple. No matter if this business today is serious or just for show, it's only possible because you have Signora Sicilia's permission. Is there actually any point to all of this? Unfortunately, if things don't pan out the way I want them to, then I'm afraid we'll simply be replaced, like a tablecloth. Plus, I've never considered my success inevitable. That day I was honestly ready to die. But that doesn't mean I won't take an opportunity that presents itself, handout or not. Maybe in some other place, given the same set of circumstances, someone in my position could have been a better person and turned down the handout. But in Siracusa, at this very moment, if this is the only way to move things forward, then that is the pill I will swallow. Would Ministero Rubio have done what he did if there was another option? Back to the flashback. Are you aware of the consequences? No. What we're doing is unprecedented. How am I supposed to guess what the consequences will be? But this is what I believe. Lavinia, I owe an answer not only to all of Volsini, but to you and everyone around you. Right? After that day, we didn't get a chance to talk things through, and only had a vague idea of what the other was thinking. Are we really walking down the same path? Is the new city that I want the same as the one you want? We don't really know how the other thinks, do we? I trust you. If you trust me, that's all the more reason to pass judgment on me. Not just for your sake, but for all of the officials who've rallied around you because of Rubio. Otherwise, what reason would they have to trust me, a man who was Mafia royalty? This isn't a burden you have to carry alone. I ought to shoulder the responsibility with you. No, I finally come to understand the words you said to me, Lavinia. Our worldviews are fundamentally different. As the former heir to a familia, there is no way I can emphasize with your perspectives and experiences. What I have to suffer now is just dealing with whatever's left over after unloading that identity. Also, from an utilitarian perspective, the people trust you, and this is a real chance for you to lock in that image. If you put it like that, I'm afraid a lot of people will see this trial as nothing more than a show. Let them think that then. It doesn't matter. Even if they do think it's a show, sometimes the willingness to put on a show is already a gesture in its own right. Don't you think? Anyway, Lavinia, that's what I think. We haven't accomplished anything big just yet. One day we'll end up mistrusting each other. One day, when we come to our senses, we might realize that we've been misguided all along. But Leon Tutsabellane, what is it that makes you stand here so resolutely? You were born into a familia, yet now you've become a familia's worst enemy. Why? Why, huh? I ask myself the same question a lot. Is it my idea of chasing efficiency? Was I raised on ideals of justice? Is it because of the actions of an admirable governmental official? Is it a conclusion from a minor observation of changes in the familia? Maybe all of the above. If we put all these reasons together, we might be able to come up with an answer. The time has come. Maybe Karachi avoided assassination and became a successful Ministero dei Lavori Pubblici, working hard towards a similar goal. Maybe Ministero Rubio chose to show restraint and continued to occupy his position, secretly winning people over with his lofty ideals and striving to bring change to Siracusa. This wasn't some elaborate plan I've been hatching my whole life. It suddenly dawned on me at some point, and I only made it this far on luck. If I die, there'll be someone who comes after me, and another man after that.
and none of this is a testament to how hard I work or how unique I am. It just means that the time has come for Siracusa to change. One question after another is thrown in Leontuzzo, the entire court filled with voices, interrogative and vitriolic. He stands in the corner of the courtroom, earnestly and tirelessly answering every question he deems worthwhile. Slowly but surely, more and more people begin to think that this young man is actually quite thoughtful, and that he's serious. In the end, the courtroom's entire atmosphere seems to cover before him. All the jurors present, all the civilians watching, and all the people tuning in through various media. Until now, my heart has been filled with uneasiness. I borrowed the city from Signora Sicilia, but never saw it as something that belonged to me. I borrowed the city from Signora Sicilia so we could work together to build something completely new, for all of you to work towards a Siracusa free from the Familia. Because I made the decision on everyone's behalf, I must also face everyone's judgment. But if you let me make a single grand statement. At this moment, Siracusa doesn't have the right to judge me. And so I can only be judged by all of you. You will receive this right, just as if you had won the power to build an entirely new city. Maybe one day, at one point in the future, the power to determine Siracusa's future will also lie in your hands. This new city welcomes all of those dissatisfied living under the yoke of the Familia and those who have their doubts, including doubts about me. That's all I wanted to say. The trial, believed to be Leontuzzo's first public speech as Nuovo Volsini's mayoral candidate, sparked widespread discussion as well as heated resistance from some Familia. But without a doubt, this one-man show of a trial at long last laid the foundations for Nuovo Volsini to truly come into fruition. It is but a new beginning. Alrighty. That will mark our end for the narration and everything. So all I can say here is, before I go into my thoughts about the whole thing, just in short, considering this is already 3 hours and 40 minutes plus, first off, thank you all for listening to these narrations so far, to this narration as well, and thank you very much for, well, everything. Especially thank you very much to all the new subscribers that came in since this side story and all the stuff. Much appreciated. And of course, thank you for all the likes that you leave on the videos. They always help and mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. Oh, man. This was a long story and a long episode for a finale. Like I said, once more, there will be one more episode. No idea how long that one will be, but it will just include the fluff and stuff that is left over. And yeah, that will be about it then. Outside of that, there's gonna be a ton of there's still a ton of operator records left that are gonna go up on the channel, including the one that we've just went over. Will be uploaded separately, not narrated like the rest of them. Just gonna join into the playlist. Technically, I've already recorded it. just this needs to go live first before I publish that. Anyway, yeah, I think when it comes to what's gonna be next on the channel, very quickly, next week is gonna be pretty much the rest of the operator records that are left over, plus a couple of short module stories just to chill out for a week. This has been a long week and a half rather, so it's gonna be a chill out week for me at least. With there's gonna be uploads, but they're gonna be smaller. After that, I have no idea what comes next for the game right now. Could be the next contingency contract. Could be a rerun for what was it called again? Break the Ice. If it's any of those two, I do have already a side story in plan that I want to tackle, and I'm gonna post about that on the
community section of YouTube once that goes up. Once we actually know what's gonna be next, rather. So that I can make plans. But yeah, there's gonna be something new. In the meantime, for anybody who is new and still listening, there is a ton of playlists if you want to go through old side stories done in a similar fashion. Take a pick. Essentially, take a pick, including the main story completed at this point. Outside of that, this story, oh god. Well, I've already given my thoughts about the whole ending there with, well, my prediction as to when this story continues in the future. I am 100% sure, 1,000,000,000% sure, Lapland Altar is incoming, and I am also very sure I'm not the only one thinking that, considering how that just ended. Crown Slayer. Now that was a surprise. Holy shit. Did not expect to see her there. But yeah. The line when Bernardo, who was it? Yeah, Bernardo, when he was saying that One Fang is in Rhode Island and the two of them came back and are in Siracusa, I was just like, okay, thinking in my head while originally reading like, okay, I think he's talking about Project Red. Who's the other one? And yep, that was the other one. Well, not Crown Slayer, but her master. But anyway, yeah, that was a surprise. Did not expect to see that. Those two were kind of out of nowhere. But I guess if and when this story continues, however, where and when, might be a crossover between Siracusa and Lungmen or Colombia? Can't really tell. They kept saying a lot of Lungmen, going back to Lungmen and stuff during the story, so maybe, like I said, maybe Giovanna decides in the future to go to Lungmen, and we're gonna have that as part of the plot. Plus, at some point, Texas has to come back, obviously, considering she is gonna be working for Rhode Island again. So, obviously. But yeah, we'll see when the time comes. I can only put my predictions down on the characters as to how and what the story next story is gonna entail. Pfft, no idea. But this one, no idea. Considering that this one pretty much concluded, and the only like big leftovers are pretty much the fates of the people and how everybody is gonna treat the new city and how the system is gonna work out. But yeah, as for characters, I guess obviously Bernardo being one standout character, playing multiple roles, essentially orchestrating everything from the background. Like, Jesus Christ, that guy had some shit in plan. But yeah. Another one, I did however expect Bernardo to die. Bernardo was the one person in this story that I expected pretty much almost from the very beginning to die. At some point. Something would have happened to him. And he would have been out of the picture. But yeah, didn't expect it to go that way, but pretty much the same way as Rubio took his own life to send a message. Bernardo did the same thing, and it pissed off Loopy so much. And also, by the way, voicing Loopy during this entire thing was, I loved it. I personally loved it. And yeah, speaking of Signore de Lupi, now that was probably the most interesting part from the get-go about just pretty much just getting finally like some form of confirmation as to what pretty much full-on animal entities are, being that they cannot die, they are there, born from the land. That can be interpreted however you want. But they're just there. They're part of the world. And they meddle around in their own ways. But yeah, very interesting. Also very interesting to know that Emperor calls Loopy kid. meaning that he is definitely older. I actually wonder how old, considering he does... I wouldn't take it as a joke. It was more of a jab, but I wouldn't take it as a joke when he said 3,000 years. I would say he's older. Much older. How old? Pfft, who the hell knows. Maybe that's gonna be covered in some future thing. But yeah, my god. Also, speaking of Emperor, goddamn Emperor stealing the show at the end. So typical. I expected him to be back in the story at some point. Maybe. Like a visitor or something. But I didn't expect him to actually stand up to Signore dei Lupi and to actually rally the other Signori dei Lupi who already lost in this game, just to pretty much rouse them to go against this idiot who is breaking the rules that they all set up for each other. Man, that was a thing. Also, oh my god, the fucking scene between Lapland and Texas finally coming to an understanding between each other. And yes, Texas pretty much describes the two of them the best way possible. We are both friends and enemies. Pretty much describes them down to a T in the most simplest of ways. They will both sit by a table and just chat with each other, and the next moment they might go at each other's throats and try and kill each other. Pretty much what they are. When it comes to our dear Vigil Boy, at the beginning he is kind of like the more like he's trying to do stuff, but he is yet to, as it is being described in the story later, he's yet to awaken. He's yet to wake up from his dream and finally start doing something. But mucho respect at the end. He finally rose up and finally started to do stuff. So good for you, buddy. You finally did something. Might be too late, but who the fuck knows how it would have played out if you would have done something way earlier. On the other hand, Lavinia, my god. She is... I don't want to compare her too much to that, but she is, when it comes to losing people around her, who she respects or has respect to, she's pretty much in a similar boat as Crown Slayer. Oh my god. They both just keep losing people around them. Jeez, what the hell? God, don't want to be in their shoes. That is a thing. That is a goddamn thing that they have to go through. like every month. I wonder who I'm gonna lose this time. Ugh. Ugh. But yeah, holy shit. She being steadfast, mucho respect as well during the entire thing, all the way towards the end. My god. And yeah. On the other hand, it was nice seeing, like, I have nothing much to say. I already, I think, said in other narrations enough about Exia and Croissant and stuff like that. But seeing a bigger focus on Sora during this story as well, finally having her be a bit more in the spotlight and show how much he cares about her friends and stuff. And actually standing up to someone who could literally just, you know, end her life in an instant. At that one point, again, the characters in this story were showing some balls, for lack of a better description. They were showing some mucho grande balls. Luna Cup, I have nothing really to add about her, considering she just appears for a brief moment here and there. Maybe she's gonna have a bigger role in the future in something, I don't know, but for now she literally just appeared. I have nothing to add. Outside of hearing her personality a bit from her voice files a few days ago, that's about it. That bratty little wolf cub from the wilds. I think I'm trying to think if I've missed someone. Missed someone. Definitely. I already said stuff about Rubius, so I'm not gonna dwindle on that too much. Ben, I'm not gonna lie, I want to know more about him, about his background, and we do get to know that he is one of the mouthpieces of Signora Sicilia, so one of her wolves. Alright, so he's a bigger fish than you see at first glance, but I do love his fourth wall breaking. even though he talks at another person there, being Lunacub, he's still fourth wall breaking at the same time. Love it. That little shithead. Also, what's his goddamn name? Keep forgetting. Demetri. Right, Demetri. I have nothing really to say much about him. I mean, he does have personality, but it's that kind of like he's meant to be a antagonist, and he is loyal to a T to his familia and stuff. So I don't know. I have really nothing to add about him. He's okay, I guess. Maybe needs a bit more fleshing out to see more of his background if he ever returns in a story. And I think there was... Oh god, my brain is shutting off. It's been 4 hours. Oh yeah, Dan Brown. I don't know. I didn't expect him to die. But also, I'm not surprised that he died. He did actually stand up to the bullshittery at the end. Or rather to his Don. Oh, speaking of... But yeah, but... I don't know. Not really sad that he died, obviously, but... he did a lot of shit in his life. He had it coming, essentially. It would have happened eventually somehow. However, speaking of his Don, Alberto the asshole. Father of the Year award goes to... that shithead. But yeah, that guy needs a punch to his face, my god. I hope if he returns in the future story of this thing, that we somehow deal with the asshole, somehow. I just want retribution. Even if it's a story arc, I don't know, she told him bye. I was just thinking like, if Lapland deals with him, nah. She told him arrivederci, she's gone. She doesn't have anything to do with him, unless they somehow end up pitted against each other. If that happens, she is killing that son of a bitch. And I will applaud. And I think the entire AKA community will applaud if that happens. Shit. Am I forgetting someone? I think I'm forgetting someone, but I also hear my stomach growling and I need to bite on something. Okay, anyway, I think this is enough. This has been a long episode. I don't want to stretch it out anymore. Once again, thank you very much for listening and watching and hearing me ramble here at the end if you're still around. Like I said at the beginning, this will not end on one of the usual EPs, considering how long the video is already, but I will leave links to the EPs for this in the description of the video. You will find them very easily. Plus, like I said at the beginning, if you haven't already and you want to see where this story originates from in Code of Brawl, that is at the very top. Right after that, to be continued, which only has that one part that is connecting this to this, that to this. And yeah, considering that also as of this recording, I just saw that the next side story, well, in the Chinese client, is a Laterano focus and probably continues from where Guide Ahead left off. Code of Brawl might be interesting for you because it does branch into Laterano as well, aka Guide Ahead. So give it a listen to if you haven't already. But anyway, this will be it. So thank you very much for watching. And I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.